Last night, the first playoff game in the Motor City in 19 years. Worth the wait? Oh, yeah, Kevin Kennedy.
Yeah, Robinson Cano can't make a play there. Bobby Abreu does in the second inning, no score. Actually, the replay would show that A-Rod tagged him out. That was a great throw by Bobby Abreu. The breaks could have gone the Tigers' way. But really, this was all about Kenny Rogers last night. This is by far, Jeannie, the best I have ever seen Kenny Rogers, and I managed him in 93, 94. He had pinpoint control. And in 94, he threw a perfect game about a week before the strike, but last night he had better stuff, if you can believe it, than that perfect game 12 years ago.
And now it's up to the kid from Kalamazoo, Michigan's own Derek Jeter, to find a way to quiet the fans. He's done it with his batting glove before, like another great shortstop we know. Oh, yeah, everyone travels with their own personal highlight reel. Thanks for bringing that from the home, by the way.
Felt the muscle right there.
Yeah, I was working. Jeannie Zalasko, Kevin Kennedy, and if you haven't guessed by now, we have a special guest, analyst shortstop for the Phillies, Jimmy Rollins. Wanted you to be a part of this October. This is the best we could do, I guess.
Yeah, well, if you guys can't get me in, I guess I'll have to talk about it.
I'm talking about the rest of the ball club, but we're happy to have you
And
here.
you had 25. That's why the muscle you saw right there. 25 this year, and you had a teammate that predicted that too, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, we had a couple numbers going out there. I think somebody even said 50, but I came up well short.
All right, let's get to the here and now. The Yankees, all the talk about Randy Johnson's back, but everyone in pinstripe is having issues. Backs against the wall, no cortisone shot for that. Yankees hadn't scored in 14 innings. 0 for 18 with men on base, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, guys.
Yeah, well, one of the surprising things for this Yankee ball club, this reminds me more of the Yankee teams from a few years ago where they could beat you in different ways, stealing a base, getting on base. One of the things Bobby Abreu has done for this lineup is getting on base. He doesn't have to hit home runs. Johnny Damon, Jeter, Matsui, all those guys do that. But you know what? Great pitching will stop a great hitting lineup, and that's what the Tigers have done. They have stopped them with their pitching, Jimmy. And you've seen some of these guys. I mean, you've got a couple guys throwing 100 miles an hour. That's tough to pick up.
Definitely. Anytime you got a guy that's up there hitting the spots, especially, you know, when he's on top of his game in this situation, it's going to be tough out there. And whenever you have a chance to drive a runner in, you're going to have to do that. You know, not getting runs with hitters in scoring position will cost your team at the end, and that's what's been going on with the Yankees.
Yeah, we're giving the Yankee lineup credit, but let's give it where it's due. Troy had some pretty good pitching. After the Game 3 loss, Joe Torre called a clubhouse meeting. The message, the team has accomplished too much to go out now, but everyone has to come ready to play. That is never a concern for the man Ken Rosenthal caught up before game time.
There's always changes. You know, Mr. T's been pretty good at, you know, going with Fields in the past. And, you know, yesterday Chef didn't play. You know, today we're mixing it up a little bit, so hopefully we can have a little better results.
You've spoken very positively about Melky in the past. What does he bring to this lineup?
Well, Milky's done a great job for us. You know, he had to fill in for Matsui when he was hurt. He's playing great defense. He's swinging the bat well. He runs. He brings some energy to the team. And, you know, hopefully he goes out there and continues to have a good time.
You guys are on the verge of elimination in the first round for the second straight year. What was the mood in there this morning?
Well, I think everyone's got confidence. You know, that's the biggest thing. You got to come out here. We have to win a game. You can't worry about what's happened the previous 3 games. We got to win today.
A few years back, after the Angels eliminated you, you were asked about the Yankees knowing how to win, and you said not all of us. And since then, you guys have continued to make changes. What do you guys have to do to get back to where you were in the late 90s?
Oh, I didn't say not all of us. I just said not this group. You know, we've been, you know, switching guys the last few years. But, you know, this group here, we feel pretty good about our chances. We have to go out there today. Like I said, can't worry about Game 5. You got to worry about winning Game 4.
All right, Derek Jeter, thank you very much. Jeannie, back to you.
More lineup changes today, too, Jeannie. You know, I know you have to manage with a sense of urgency, but I think one mistake that I feel, A-Rod in the 6th spot, keep him in the 6th spot. Don't just change it and make him in 4th because his numbers were great last night against Kenny Rogers historically. I think you're putting more pressure on him and making more of an issue by changing him back and forth in the lineup. And today, Alex Rodriguez is hitting 8th. I mean, what would that do to you, Jimmy?
That definitely plays mind tricks on you. You go out there and you expect to be in a spot. And when you're not there, even though, you know, sometimes lineup changes can energize a team, when you're the guy that's being moved around, you're trying to figure out why you're being moved around. Today he's batting 8th. In his head, he's still a 6-hitter. In his head, he's still a 4-hitter. So when you get down there, you just feel like you're a part of the team that's just put in the lineup to play one thing, and that's defense.
Yeah, everyone picking on A-Rod, but this just in. Nobody's making any contact.
Right.
They backed into the postseason. Junior varsity taking on the varsity. You've heard this. The Tigers heard it all. Kenny Rogers knows a lot of people may have been picturing a David versus Goliath matchup, but he believed his Tigers had a chance. Why? Maybe it comes from failing so much, says Rogers, adding, I'm not afraid to fail. Taking a page out of the Derek Jeter script and possibly tearing the heart out of the Yankees.
I think guys are more, a little bit hungrier, not giving up. We get behind a couple of runs, we still think we have a chance in the game.
That's been the mindset, finish whatever it happens to be, from a game to a series, but not looking too far ahead of ourselves. Focus on the task at hand and finish it, and then worry about the next task tomorrow.
And finish they have. After averaging 100 losses the last 5 years, the Detroit Tigers finished this regular season 28 games over 500. So what's the reason for the turnaround? Well, having a World Series winning manager take over may have something to do with it.
All I've heard about is how they had a bad clubhouse and it wasn't a fun place to be and everything. I found it totally opposite. They're a great bunch of guys. They probably didn't know much about collectively as a team what it took to win.
He does a great job of knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it. If he needs to yell at us, great. If he needs to joke with us, great.
And he doesn't let you be satisfied. He wants you to go out and go for the jugular, go after him.
And then there's Pudge. After winning the 2003 World Series with the Marlins, Rodriguez split from Motown and joined a team coming off the worst season in AL history. The move gave Detroit star power. It also raised some eyebrows.
A lot of people, tell me, why you do it? Why you do that? When you signed in 2004, I came over and I said, you know what? It's baseball and, it's 1 year after the other. And I was saying, in 2 years, we're going to be fine.
Now the question in Detroit is, are these Tigers for real? Up 2-1 on the Yanks, the Tigers know one more win will prove that they are back and that they've saved their best baseball for when it matters most.
If you're playing right at the right time, then I think anybody that gets in the playoffs has a chance to win the World Series.
The team is there. The attitude is there. And if we keep doing what we're doing, we have a big shot.
When you finish near the bottom in baseball, you better draft well, you better scout well, and the Tigers have certainly done that. And once in a while, you make a great trade like Jeremy Bonderman pitching today to the Oakland A's organization. He's on the mound. Zumaya, Verlander, these guys clearly blow gas 100 miles an hour. And Jimmy Rollins, I know you've faced Zumaya. Did you see him? Can you pick up that fastball?
Well, fortunately, I got to face him in the daytime, so I had a little light on the ball. But other than that, that man throws hard.
It's unbelievable. The other night, 8 times he was clocked at 100, 102, 103 miles an hour. And the way the deception that he has, Jimmy, too. It doesn't really, it's not right over the top. Isn't there a little deception the way he releases it?
Yes, he gets his arms extended, very far up front, and that gives him a little snap at the end of his ball. And on top of that, when you have a guy that throws that hard and is aggressive and wants you back, it's going to be a long day.
No looking breaking balls.
Nah, you looking breaking
People
balls.
are getting on A-Rod, but come on.
You're looking for the wrong pitch.
That's right.
Oakland just looking past the first round, hopefully. They hadn't won a postseason series since 1990, on the brink of sweeping the Twins out of October on a Friday
Not
by
a
the
healthy
Bay.
year for Chavez, but you know what, Jeannie? He came up big yesterday, first run on the board.
Postseason, he was 1 for 30 going into that at-bat.
Bradley, too, been hurt a lot this year, but you know what? 2 guys came up big. The pitching did the rest. They just outplayed the Minnesota Twins, Jimmy, let's face it.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did. It's good to see Oakland finally get over that hurdle. And, those guys went up there, they pitched well, they swung the bat, and those things can happen.
And salute Brad Radke. Last outing, possibly, as they have to reconstruct that shoulder for him. Right, still going on in St. Louis. Can the Padres get a victory versus the Cardinals in October?
Get Trevor in there.
We'll wait and
Quickly.
see. Bottom 8, it's 3-zip as we sit.
How about the Oakland A's, though, Jimmy? They've already clinched. Is it better to clinch early and rest or keep the momentum right up until the final day? What do you think?
I think at this point, no one's going to be tired. You're going out there to play baseball. You're going out there to win. It doesn't matter who you play. As long as this team out there, as long as you can go on with a chance to win a World Series, you take your chances.
They're sitting good right now, Jeannie.
Ken Rosenthal joins us now with a postseason inside pitch from Detroit. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Jeannie.
All right, nothing but question marks in that Yankees dugout. Lose the series and lose Alex Rodriguez. Let's start there.
Jeannie, A-Rod has vowed not to waive his no-trade clause, but if the Yankees are eliminated, the pressure for him to be moved will only increase. Rest assured, there would be no shortage of suitors. The Angels have vowed to make a big move. They would be one possibility. The Dodgers would be another. The Padres, the Astros, the Cubs, they would all have to be intrigued. And who knows, if the Yankees paid enough of that contract, maybe the Marlins would be willing to part with Dontrell Willis and send A-Rod home to Miami.
What about Joe Torre? Is he in his last days at the helm?
Jeannie, if the Yankees lose, it will mark the 6th straight year in which they failed to win the World Series, the 2nd straight in which they've been knocked out in the first round. Torre is owed $7 million next season, but it's certainly conceivable that owner George Steinbrenner would fire him, especially with Lou Piniella looming as a possible replacement. Piniella already is a candidate for the Cubs, but the Cubs could luck into another possibility if the Padres are eliminated. That would be Bruce Bochy.
All right, let's take you across the country. Changes for the Dodgers in store this offseason?
Possibly, Jeannie, certainly. Nomar Garciaparra is a free agent. The Dodgers haven't ruled out bringing him back. Right fielder J.D. Drew can opt out of his contract. And Scott Boras, his agent, told me it's something we're definitely going to have to look at. While it's unlikely Drew would walk away from $33 million over the next 3 years, Boras might want to market him as a center fielder. Then there is infielder Julio Lugo. He's also a free agent. He could wind up as the Red Sox shortstop next season or as the Mets second baseman, forming a high-energy double play combination with Jose Reyes.
All right, Torrey Hunter walking the Twins clubhouse last night, telling his teammates goodbye. Just in case I'm gone, keep this thing going. Will the Twins pick up his very pricey option for 2007?
It's a pricey option. It's $12 million, Jeannie, but I do think the Twins are going to pick it up. They would have Torrey Hunter for 1 more year, and teams generally like players, even when they're expensive, on short-term deals. If they pick up the option, they could always try to extend Hunter's contract to keep him long-term.
All right, thanks, Ken. More throughout the postseason and, as always, on FoxSports.com. 3 years ago, the Tigers lost 119 games. 3 years. Have you caught that yet? It's been that long since the Yankees made an appearance in the ALCS. No looking back today, but we're going to look to the future. That looks bright for the other team from the Big Apple with the left side of the infield that's turning heads. Series, that's been the talk in the Big Apple for months. The Mets appear to be holding up their end of the bargain, and they have their own answer to Jeter A-Rod.
They're exciting to watch. They're fun to watch.
Watch this kid go. He can fly.
You're talking about a guy with, numerous World Series rings.
A 3-run home run for the captain.
Another guy that, is an MVP candidate year in, year out.
An A-bomb from A-Rod.
I love him. I'm having a great time watching him.
A monstrous homer off the bat of David Wright.
I think they carry themselves the right way. They play the game the right way. Both seem to be having fun, and I enjoy watching them play.
Their abilities are great, but they're very humble. They're very great young ambassadors of our game, and they're just doing a wonderful job, playing good baseball.
When you play the same positions in the same city, where the battle for the back page is a daily ritual, the comparisons are inevitable. But Wright and his partner in Flushing know they have a long way to go to match the achievements of their counterparts in the Bronx.
They're playing in the same town, playing the same positions. It's a fun comparison, but, we're a ways to go before we're at that level.
Both the youngsters have played at an all-star level this season, but they understand they have a lot to learn, and they're still a work in progress. Reyes, for one, has worked on being more patient at the plate, and it's paying off.
This year, I get in base a lot, and every time I get in base, something's going to happen for the New York Mets.
Through the middle, base hit, and Reyes has hit for the cycle. Swung on, there it goes to deep left. It is high, it is far, it is gone.
There's one guy that you're going to try to mold your game after. A guy like Derek Jeter's a guy.
So the way he played the game, because he played the game hard, and I enjoy watching him play.
It wasn't too long ago that I was a kid and I was watching guys on TV, and now you have guys coming into the league saying they enjoyed watching me play. So it's kind of funny, but it makes you feel good.
Se atrás, la pelota se va, se va, se va, se va, y despídala con un beso. Cuadrangular de José Reyes.
We have a thing at Shea Stadium, learning Spanish with Professor Reyes that they do in between innings, so I'm picking up a little bit from him.
He's doing okay, not too good, but he gets there a little bit.
This offseason, I'm going to, come back speaking Spanish and not tell anybody so that I can pick up on the little things.
Noticeably missing from that piece, the gentleman to my left. I know you're sitting here, you're not going to boast about your exploits, so I'll speak for you on your behalf and a teammate of yours, Tom Gordon, who's saying, you know what, this guy here, Jimmy Rollins, is probably as good as, if not better than Derek Jeter, but he doesn't get the love.
Well, that's one heck of a compliment coming from a guy like Flash. He's a guy that tells you straight up the way things are, and, for him to say that, especially since he's played with Derek Jeter, you know, for a number of years is definitely a compliment.
So you're that good, but you don't get the love. If you were in New York, we'll be talking about you?
Well, we'll see. Well, you have to get to the playoffs in order to get that love. If you don't get to the playoffs, it's hard to get love.
He's a power hitter now, you know. You're going to win that goal before it's all over. Hey, take a look at the pitchers today. Jeremy Bonderman, we talked a bit about, 14-8, had a great year. This guy makes all of his starts. He gets deep into the game usually, and if he gets past the 6th inning, look out for that Tiger bullpen. But you face the other guy, Jaret Wright. What are we going to see today?
You're going to see a power pitcher. Jaret Wright, he comes out, he throws the ball hard, and when he's down in the zone, it makes a sinker that much more effective. He has a good changeup, but he has to be on. If he's not, his ball flattens out and it becomes very hittable.
Worth the count on him?
Definitely worth the count. Make him throw pitches, and, you know, that's usually the key.
I'll do a sad note here. A fabulous human being. That is how Buck O'Neil is being remembered today by Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson. O'Neil passed away late Friday. The former batting champ in the Negro Leagues and the first black man to serve as a major league coach was 94.
You know, you're looking at the board right there. Some of the things that he's done. I mean, signed Lou Brock and Ernie Banks. He was the first bench coach, African-American bench coach in the big leagues. All these things. It's the body of work. He was a great player in the Negro Leagues, too. Hung out with Satchel Paige. He managed championships for the Kansas City Monarchs. For those reasons, his body of work, he should have been elected to the Hall of Fame and should have been in July. And now, of course, a year or two now, he's going to probably be in, and that'll be a shame that he didn't live to see that.
Definitely. Buck O'Neil was definitely a great ambassador, especially for the Negro Leagues. He has so many stories that he's carried with him. He demanded an audience when he spoke. I had a chance to meet him personally, going down to the Negro League Hall of Fame. I collected the Pooh Papa Bell Award, and I had a ball, and it's just a sad day to see a guy like that leave the earth.
Yeah, but he gave every single thing he had to the game, so he will be missed. Mr. Rollins giving some stuff away as well. He didn't have to lay down the sacrifice here, but he gave up tickets to a Sunday NFL matchup. But I have some good news for you, my friend. You ready? You can catch it on Fox. And tomorrow, the pregame show, back at it again. We got Joe Buck. We got Terry Bradshaw. We got Howie Long. We got Jimmy Johnson. They are live from Philadelphia. Words of advice for the kids in Philly?
Whew, be careful.
Be careful. And T.O., no celebration. Keep it intact. All right, we got to get you out to the postseason. Got the Mets and the Dodgers later today, but first it's up to Jaret to take the Yankees in the right direction, or the Tigers will win their first playoff series in 21 years. Game 4 of the ALDS. It is next on Fox.
A once proud baseball city is proud to actually be a baseball city once again. The roar has been restored. The Tigers with a chance to beat back the New York Yankees. Game 4 of the American League Division Series in Detroit. The Tigers lead the best-of-5 series 2-1. Who among us thought it would be so? But here it is, 2-1 Detroit in a best-of-5 series. Welcome, along with Steve Lyons, I'm Josh Lewin. What is going on with the New York Yankees?
You know, it is so hard to walk around in baseball circles and talk to people and ask them, is there a better offense ever assembled than this 2006 Yankees? No one has a better answer for you, but in this series, nothing could be further from the truth. They have not scored a run in 14 innings. They can get guys on, but they can't move them over, and they can't get them in. During the regular season, they hit 20 points higher as a team. They scored 2 more runs per game than they are against these Detroit Tigers.
And those numbers you're looking at, Steve, they're staggering. 0 for 18 with men on base last night. If there's a face of failure, I suppose you're looking at it here. Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, becomes 8-Rod in this game. Joe Torre dropping him down to the 8th spot in the batting order. A-Rod hasn't hit in that spot since he was 20 years old. But what about the managers in this game? What are they telling their teams today?
Well, it's a tremendous contrast between Leland and Torre right now. We talked to Jim Leland before the game. He said, I will talk to my players before this game, and I'll say, focus on one thing, and that one thing is Jaret Wright. Don't think of the series score being 2-1. Don't think about a possible celebration. Don't even buy into the hype that we're playing at home in front of our home crowd. Jaret Wright is the only thing you should concentrate on. Now, on the other side of the coin, Joe Torre said, we asked him, are you going to talk to his guys? And he said, you know what? Those are my guys out in the clubhouse, and if I have to talk to them, they wouldn't be my guys.
Meantime, the Tigers a chance to win it in 4. If that happens, so many heads will roll in New York. It's going to look like a bowling alley back there. Which player will carry the day? The Yankees and the Tigers are up next on Fox. Boy, it just feels like October baseball. It is 64 degrees. There is sunshine. And the New York Yankees, a 6-0 loser yesterday. They had base runners in every inning except the 9th. But every single runner dog paddled rather than swimming for shore. Here's the Yankee batting order presented by Hyundai. You've got Damon and Jeter, Abreu and Sheffield. And you scan, yep, Giambi's not in there. A-Rod is batting 8th. A lot more to tell you about as we go forward. Joe Torre tweaks some things. Budweiser, this is baseball, this is beer. We are ready for Game 4, Mr. Lyons. You've got Jeremy Bonderman out there on the mound, a 14-game winner.
Bonner making his first playoff appearance here for the Tigers. Key to him is keeping those emotions intact.
Jim Leyland admitted to us before the game, in some ways, Steve, he is worried. Bonderman does not have an out pitch against tough left-handers. This Yankee lineup loaded with tough left-handers, but one of them is already out. That is Johnny Damon.
Check out the numbers on Bonderman during the season. 14-8. He's one of those guys that's been here for a long time. Just 23 years old, but in his 4th season. Good hard fastball. Sink that fastball every once in a while, but has the trouble controlling that. There's the pitcher profile, that fastball. He's got to have the guts to throw that slider. It's one of his best pitches. And how's the touch on his changeup going to be? He needs that changeup to keep the left-handers in this Yankee offense off balance. And if he doesn't have the touch, he's in trouble.
That pitcher profile brought to you by Exxon and Mobil retailers. Here is Derek Jeter. The Yankees known for working the count. Not exactly doing that here in the first inning. Very quickly 2 down. As for our MasterCard keys to the game, suddenly a must-win for the New York Yankees.
Absolutely, and if you're the New York Yankees, it's pretty simple. Get some hits and score early. Take the crowd out of this game and make sure that by the time the shadows creep in, you've got some runs on the board. For Detroit, Ken Bonderman can command the outside of that plate with the left-handers. That's where that changeup and backdoor slider come into play.
And controlling the emotions, Jim Leyland calls it kind of a paintball mentality. Young guy who wants to just go get it. Bobby Abreu showing bunt and takes a strike.
That was one of the funnier analogies. He says sometimes Bonderman gets a little bit over geeked, and he says you're sitting there playing paintball and you sit there for 20 minutes hiding behind a tree, and then you say, I don't want to do this anymore, and you run outside and you get hit by about 18 paintballs. That's Bonderman.
And really, you know, I think the analogy for the part of our audience that has enjoyed the movie Dodgeball, I think dodgeball more than paintball in this series now. This is average Joes against Globo, Jim. The Yankees are the, you know, they're the big rich kids. The scrappy underdog, currently leading 2-1. Globo, Jim, about to go in order. Average Joe's is coming up. There is no score in Game 4. 7th pitch inning for Jeremy Bonderman. No time to get nervous. And now Jared Wright, who has pitched in bigger games than this one, believe it or not. He will face Curtis Granderson, bottom of the 1st.
Certainly has personally pitched in bigger games, but I don't know if there's ever been more pressure on him than this one wearing a Yankee uniform.
That's a delineation to be made. You're right, Steve. I mean, this is a guy who at age 21 faced a Jim Leyland team in a Game 7 of the World Series. And he acquitted himself quite well. In fact, he was 3-0 in that postseason at age 21, but since then his postseason numbers are terrible. 0-4, ERA of about 13. Granderson on the ground to first. Let's check out the rest of the lineup for Jim Leyland's Tigers, brought to you by Hyundai. Now, following Granderson, you've got Polanco and Casey. Sean Casey had a couple of big hits against Randy Johnson yesterday. Maglio Ordonez, Carlos Guillen, not Alex Rodriguez, but Pudge Rodriguez, and Monroe, Thames, and Inge rounded out. Again, the Tigers now up in this series 2-1. A Rust Belt Cinderella, if you will, these Tigers. Strike one according to Paul Emmel. Our home plate umpire is kind of a storyline today too, Steve. His wife, Wendy, contractions are 15 minutes apart. Due to give birth to their second child. It could be by tonight.
You know what that means, don't you?
Quick game.
Swing the bat.
Check the numbers on Jared Wright before we tell you more about the umpiring crew. 11-7.
Sort of an up and down year for Jared Wright, just 27 starts. Boy, this guy used to flat out bring it. Couple arm surgeries. Still can run it up there in the mid-90s, but sinks the ball a lot more now often.
Leaping play at second base. Cano has got it 2 down.
Watch Polanco, one of the best hitters in this lineup. He and Carlos Guillen are the two outstanding hitters in the Detroit lineup, going the other way, letting that ball travel in on his hands and then just hammering it right back out to the right side. Check out Jared Wright's pitcher profile, brought to you by ExxonMobil. Throws a lot of those high riding fastball. He's got a much better two-seam fastball now, and his problem is pitch counts. He throws way too many pitches, so you don't want to be a 5-and-dive guy.
Jared Wright has not even gotten to 6 2/3 innings in any of his starts this year as a Yankee.
Well, this is the lineup to face now. When you look at the Detroit Tigers, they strike out the second most times in the American League, and they walk the second fewest times, so they're hacking.
Yep, Casey's hacking. 7 pitches in the top of the inning, only 9 in the bottom of the inning. 0-0. Gary Sheffield leads it off here in inning 2 of Game 4, the American League Division Series. The Tigers lead that series 2-1. Quite a difference in expectations when this season began, Steve Lyons. The Yankees expected to compete for and to win a World Series. The Tigers were expected by many to lose at least 90 games.
Jim Leyland, what his staff has done here has just been nothing short of remarkable. Detroit looking to shock the world here by putting away the New York Yankees, but it shouldn't be that big a surprise because they've done it with pitching all year long. They led the major leagues in team ERA.
Sheffield trying to check his swing. Paul Emmel says he did not do it. 1 down.
There's the slider that we talked about from Bonderman. If he can get that to the outer half of the plate, especially when he faces the right-handers, although very few righties in this lineup, you can get an early commitment, and that's what Sheffield did.
Hideki Matsui with outstanding career numbers against Bonderman. 7 out of 15, 3 home runs. Bonderman again is right there.
Look at that great late movement on the outer half.
5 out of 5 on first pitch strikes. We mentioned the home plate umpire, Steve. The guy's name is Paul Emmel. Grew up just a couple hours north of here in Midland, Michigan. Summertime family trips to Old Tiger Stadium. Now most of that family is here watching Paul Emmel work at Comerica Park today. Matsui sends it to right center. Now Paul Emmel was telling us his sister's room was plastered with posters of Lance Parrish.
Whose wasn't?
No, that's true. You know, that's the other funny thing, I guess, about the Tigers getting it done this year. You know, they had tried the whole nostalgia kick. Lance Parrish on the coaching staff, Alan Trammell the manager, Kirk Gibson, of course, on that coaching staff. Those guys are all swept out of here. It is on Jim Leyland's watch that some magic is being made.
Gene Lamont next to Jim Leyland on his right, one of his longtime coaches from the Pirate days.
Here's Posada. He will take ball 1. Of course, you know what should be pointed out, in fairness to guys like Trammell and Kirk Gibson and Lance Parrish, Justin Verlander and Joel Zumaya and Kenny Rogers were not on the team for them. Another fly ball. The fears are not being realized. Jim Leland thought maybe Bonderman would struggle early. Hasn't happened. Mags Ordonez coming up when we come back. From Canada, back at Detroit, Michigan.
Look at that little Tiger. And that big one.
They really hit you over the head with the whole Tiger motif here, don't they? They are proud. They got reason to be this year. Tigers lead this best of 5 at 2-1. Here's Ordonez. He will check and take ball 1 from Jared Wright.
Ordonez said he would be looking up in the strike zone. There you see the shadows of the light standards coming into play a little bit. Jared Wright likes to go in the zone.
And Ordonez going towards the flagpole. Left center field. It is gone.
Told me before the game he was going to look up in the zone. He said, I know this guy likes to throw high fastballs. I'm going to be all over one.
Left the White Sox just before the White Sox had their magical run. Now maybe a magical run here in Detroit. There's a ball to Carlos Guillen.
Picture perfect balance. That ball was absolutely waffled. It's a long way to go out of here into center field.
Now a strike to Guillen. If the Tigers do advance, and with the White Sox not having made the postseason this year, a couple of the guys that used to be known as Mr. White Sox kind of guys, Frank Thomas and Mags Ordonez, would hook up in the ALCS.
Not only that, both of those guys had a big hand in eliminating the White Sox because they played so well against them down the stretch.
Now the White Sox, who again, they're on their respective couches watching this one, and they'll be watching the World Series from that couch as well. They faded terribly down the stretch last year, but they recovered at just the right time, kept on winning throughout the postseason. The Tigers faded horribly in the regular season of '06. Cardinals, same thing. Those two teams are both up 2-1 in a best-of-5 division series right now. Two teams that staggered to the finish line. Fouled away by Guillen. Now for these Tigers, Steve, after they bolted out 76-36, they won only 19 of their last 50 games. They let a 10-game division lead get away. They had to grab that wild card safety net. But they're swinging from that net right now. They're having a great time. Yankees not so much. Way up there. Robinson Cano under a hovercraft. He's finally got it. We will go to Jeannie Zelasco standing by in the Fox Network Center. Hello, Jeannie.
Hello. Padres on the brink of elimination in St. Louis. They've lost 9 straight postseason games. Trevor Hoffman holding the 3-1 lead with 2 outs. Strikes out Juan Encarnacion. San Diego lives to see another game. Chris Carpenter versus Woody Williams. That's who's slated for Game 4 tomorrow.
If the Padres keep coming back and if the Tigers keep on keeping on, could it be 1984 all over again? Padres and the Tigers in the Fall Classic. Speaking of World Series, here's Pudge Rodriguez, and Yankee fans know all too well this guy can make a difference in a World Series. When he was with the Marlins, man, he was terrific.
And he needs to get back to what he did in that Marlins series, driving the ball to the opposite field. That's his game. He's gotten stuck a little bit, not doing a good job of getting to the front side of his swing. There's a nasty breaking ball from Jarrett Wright right there. Pudge didn't like it. But Pudge loves that ball out over the plate and away. He hit the ball right over Cano's head at second base.
Remember when Pudge Rodriguez got that World Series ring, and having been a 9-time All-Star already, there were a lot of people in baseball that said, why in the world would this guy sign with the Detroit Tigers? They were coming off that historically awful season at 43 and 119. It's kind of like he was the first cool guy to pledge the loser fraternity on the baseball campus, you know. Once a guy like Pudge says, hey, this house isn't so bad, some of the other BMOCs said, okay, we're in too. Give us the pledge pin.
You've got to start somewhere when you're an organization that wants to rebuild from a team that hadn't had a playoff game here in 19 years to a team that wants to become a contender again.
Pudge Rodriguez, who seldom ever walks, is actually going to almost sprint down to first base. Wright was ahead of him, and he could not finish him off.
Now, the back half of this Tiger order is so scary. Most of their home runs come from their 7, 8, 9 guys. Monroe's got 28, Tim's 26, and Inge with 27.
Matter of fact, Steve, that's the first team in baseball history to have their bottom 3 hitters all have 25 or more home runs. Who knew? The 06 Detroit Tigers. And yeah, this guy, Craig Monroe, 28.
There's the numbers that you were talking about there. In fact, 7 guys on this ball club have 16 or more home runs. Pretty good balance as far as power is concerned up and down the lineup in a very, very big yard. Tough to hit home runs in this ballpark.
That's why Juan Gonzalez said no thank you to a contract that would have paid him approximately $1 jillion. Of course, they've moved the fence in from left, but too little too late for Wando.
That would have changed the face of this organization had he re-signed.
That's a great point, Steve. I mean, if they're hampered by that contract, had Juan Gonzalez signed that deal, and Juan hanging by his fingernails now to stay in organized baseball, played in independent league baseball this past year. Dave Dombrowski doesn't have the wherewithal if that contract is the albatross for this organization. Thankfully, Juan Gonzalez never grabbed the pen.
An outstanding job Dombrowski has done, and since he has taken over, there's only one guy on this ball club that remains. That's Brandon Inge, the only guy on the team that's still around since he took over. Talk about putting a fingerprint on an organization. That's his whole hand.
And the manager that was there for him with the Marlins when they won it all in 1997 is right there with him here, Jim Leyland. In the air, left field, taking off. Craig Monroe has hit it out.
Craig Monroe may have gotten fooled on that pitch just a little bit. You see his back foot off the ground. That's the way they teach to hit here. Don Slott says everybody talks about hitters being front foot hitters. Everybody's a front foot hitter. If you don't hit off of a front stiff leg, you're in trouble. Craig Monroe's back leg literally came off the ground when he unloaded on that pitch. Fooled by that pitch just a little bit. It's a breaking ball. Watch his back leg come off the ground when he hits the ball. There's not a problem with that. Frank Thomas has made a living of hitting baseballs with his back foot off the ground when he hits. That ball was hammered.
Towards that biggest scoreboard in baseball, which tells quite a story right now. It says 3-0 for the home team. That ball drilled foul by Marcus Thames. Jared Wright, a stumble start. Lytle and Myers already working in the bullpen.
Talked about one of the keys to this ball game for the Yankees, getting an early lead, taking this crowd out of the ball game. I don't think so.
Second straight game, 3 runs in the second inning for the Tigers. That game yesterday was remarkable, not only because the crowd was so into it, but what Kenny Rogers did to carve up that lineup, a guy that had come in with a career postseason ERA of about 9.
You can say what you want about Kenny Rogers being 41, about his reputation before he got here, but he solidified this pitching staff with his knowledge and willingness to help the younger pitchers.
3-2 tap foul. You saw Randy Johnson, who started the game for the Yankees yesterday. And Kenny Rogers, a guy that has always had horrible numbers against the Yankees, Steve. But he spun gold out of that 41-year-old left arm last night.
Hadn't beaten the Yankees in 13 years.
Shattered bat. Base hit over a leaping Alex Rodriguez. And the bat, like the psyche of Alex Rodriguez, lying shattered out there near third.
That ball definitely get in on the hands there of Marcus Thames. Tried to pull his hands in and get to that baseball, but he still got it off the hands, and that bat died a hero right there. He'll take 100 of those.
The Alex Rodriguez story continues to unfold, Steve. It's not just that Sports Illustrated article. It's not just the fact that the Yankees are down 2-1 in this series right now. But, man, it is front page, back page. It is everywhere. All A-Rod all the time right now. And until he delivers the big hit or even a big hit, I don't think that's going away anytime.
A big hit would be nice. He's gone 11 straight postseason ball games without driving in a run.
He says, "My chin is up. My chin is not going anywhere," was his quote.
I'll tell you, everybody has an opinion about A-Rod, and it may very well be that he doesn't find himself in a Yankee uniform next year. It may be too far gone, but I hope that doesn't happen. And I'll tell you what, I'll take A-Rod on my team anytime. 290, 35 homers, 121 RBIs. There's not a guy in baseball that wouldn't take those numbers and walk in and renegotiate his deal with his GM, except A-Rod in New York, because it won't matter until he does it in the postseason for Yankee fans.
Strike one to Brandon Inge. No, it's funny, Steve, when the Lions, who play next door, they had Joey Harrington as their quarterback not too long ago. He was sarcastically referred to as Joey Blue Skies, as in the sky is always blue, nothing's ever wrong, while the evidence points squarely that everything's amiss. I think Yankee fans see a little Joey Blue Skies in Alex Rodriguez, kind of whistling past the graveyard.
I think all he's done is prove that he's human. The guy has had unbelievable success. How about those two guys that drove the ball out of this big yard?
They're the two home run hitters. Inge will take a look. It is now 2-2.
Inge is the one guy in this lineup for the Tigers who feels like he has just been abused at the plate. They have pitched him so tough. Watch this pitch. Nasty on the block. That one could have gone either way. Maybe Brandon Inge finally caught a break.
Brandon Inge waves at it. Down he goes. Game 4. Tigers already leading 2-1. They've got a 3-0 lead. That's because Maglio Ordonez belted one out. Craig Monroe did the same thing. And on a day where there's a lot going on in this great state of Michigan, you got Michigan State playing right now. Normally, that's the big deal. I mean, you circle that day on your calendar. How many transistor radios are at that game? Rip and a miss by Granderson. That football game's being played at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Just a half an hour, 40 minutes down the road.
How many people ended up with tickets to that game that wouldn't ordinarily get to go because the Tiger season ticket holders wanted to come to this one instead?
Ball is blocked by Posada. He'll wing it down to first, not in time.
Marcus Timms scampering back in. Timms, such a great story. Of course, everybody knows, got his first at-bat, his first 7 games with the Yankees. His first home run off of the Yankee here who pitched last night, Randy Johnson, but he was playing last year in AAA, and Jim Leyland's brother lives in Toledo, watched him play the entire season, told his brother, if you give this guy 500 at-bats, he'll hit you 30 home runs.
Line shot at short. And the end of the second inning. But Jared Wright gives up a couple of home runs. The Yankees are trailing game 4 by 3. Jeremy Bonderman will turn 24 years old the day after the scheduled Game 7 of this year's World Series. Well, the Tigers get there. First, they got to get past these New York Yankees. And Robinson Cano is going to bash one towards left center field. Kind of an after-the-fact dive, but Craig Monroe has got it. And it's been 7 up, 7 down for young Jeremy Bonderman, who, remember, Steve, had an unsettling experience last time out. He failed to hold a lead much bigger than this, 6-0 against the 100-loss Royals.
A couple times down the stretch, he couldn't hold 6-run leads. Jim Leyland's going to keep a very close eye on Bonderman and how this game progresses. He's got plenty of guys in the pen that he doesn't have a problem going to.
The number 8 hitter in the lineup is Alex Rodriguez. He's going to swing at the first pitch and ground out. He is 1 out of 12 in the series. 4 for his last 39 in postseason play. Let's go to the third member of our broadcast unit. Let's go to Kenny Rosenthal.
Josh, Joe Torre normally is very patient with reporters, but he bristled at his pregame news conference when the first question about his lineup was about Alex Rodriguez hitting 8th. Torre thought the first question should have been about Jason Giambi not playing. Now, Giambi received a cortisone shot in his right shoulder after last night's game. He told Torre he was available, but Torre opted to go with Gary Sheffield at first. Sheff didn't play last night, and he told me that not playing in that game was one of the hardest things he's ever had to do in his life.
Oh, we were down there when Giambi was called in to Joe Torre's office, and the door shut very quietly. There's a rip and a miss by Melky Cabrera. He's the guy that gets to play with Matsui DHing and Sheffield playing first. Yeah, Giambi is the odd man out.
One of the reasons why it was so hard for Sheffield to sit out of a playoff game last night is because he's been on ball clubs where he could have the opportunity to play in 45 playoff games in his career. He's played in 43 of those, started 43 of those. You can understand why you might not like sitting one out.
Fouled away by Cabrera. If Melky Cabrera has a big game, I mean, let's say he gets 3 hits, Joe Torre's a genius. But if this series comes to an end and Giambi's not in the game, and A-Rod is still way inside his own head, there'll be some pretty upset Yankee fans for sure. Well, let's face it, I mean, just going back to Alex Rodriguez for a moment, I hate that it keeps gravitating there, but the fact that he swung at that first pitch seemed a little bit jumpy. He didn't talk to reporters before the game today. Some nervous times right now. There's a grounder, second base. 9 up, 9 down in a must-have game for the New York Yankees. They've been up there for only 23 pitches. Tigers looking to move on, and following this game, Game 3 of the National League Division Series, Mets and Dodgers. The Mets leading 2-0. A couple of 15-game winners will have at each other, Steve Traxel and Greg Maddux. This particular series, Steve, Lions 2-1 in favor of Detroit. And the Tigers lead the game today 3-0. They've hit a pair of home runs. There is strike one to Placido Polanco. What a start for Jeremy Bonderman, the 23-year-old right-hander. That ball lifted to left field. Melky Cabrera is there. You've got Bonderman needing only 23 pitches, Steve, to get through this vaunted Yankee lineup first time around. And last night's starter, Kenny Rogers, some counsel for Mr. Bonderman.
Well, this is what I was talking about before. I mean, there's a story going around that in spring training, when they had pitchers fielding practice early in spring training, Kenny Rogers, at 41 years old, was the first one out there. He was diving for balls. They were hitting balls all over the yard. Bonderman and Robertson came out and said, if a guy at 41 can go out there and play the way he's playing, we need to step it up a notch. And Kenny Rogers has been very much a father figure to this young pitching staff all season long, and they have benefited greatly from him, whether he's been on the mound or just talking to them in the locker room.
Strike one to Sean Casey, and you know, you can't say enough about what it meant for Kenny Rogers to do that last night. This is a guy who his entire career has heard he can't win the big one. Well, that was a huge one last night.
And that ball that Derek Jeter hit right back at him last night, there are many, many pitchers that would be lying in a hospital bed right now. He reacted so quickly. He's in such great fielding position. He won a number of Gold Gloves as a pitcher and as one of the best athletes on this team.
He had this partisan crowd chanting his name last night. Well, what amazing theater that was in this ballpark yesterday. That pitch outside to Casey. These fans have been aching to throw a party, Steve. They came here last weekend ready to celebrate a division title. But they watched their guys get swept by Kansas City. Backed in as a wild card instead of taking that division. That doesn't even get us to the fact that they haven't had a winning team here in 13 years. I mean, forget about having to wait a weekend. It's been 13 years since their team's had a winning record. It's been since 1987 since they've seen a playoff game.
That guy right there turning things around.
Pop towards left. Melky Cabrera will get another one. Yeah, Kenny Rogers, a guy with a career postseason ERA of close to 9. I think 8 strikeouts is a very telling thing too, Steve, because this is a guy that, let's face it, is usually a pitch to contact guy. I mean, he was amped up last night.
He was throwing harder than he generally does, but that really wasn't the story of the difference for him. It was his location. But, you know, the other thing with the Yankees is they generally just whack guys that don't throw the ball hard. Power pitchers like Verlander, like Bonderman, tend to give the Yankees a little more trouble. Guys that don't throw hard, no fun facing these Yankees.
Already a home run for Ordonez in this game. This time a chopper stopped by Alex Rodriguez. He'll fire wide, and it gets away from Gary Sheffield.
Well, there's you have a problem with Gary Sheffield playing out of position at first. He knocks this down, A-Rod does, and makes the throw over. Granted, he's pulling him off the bag, but that play has to be made by a first baseman. You take a half a step off the bag, up the line, catch the ball, and make the tag. Gary Sheffield, no fault of his own, doesn't know how to play first base. Joe Torre has been taking a big chance by having him over there. That play should have been made.
They could sell the error to either corner. I'm not sure which guy is going to get it.
That's Sheffield's error.
Carlos Guillen, the batter.
Just to give A-Rod a break, that's Sheffield's error.
Strike one. Now they will give it to Alex Rodriguez, we are told.
Oh, just pile it on.
And
Jeez, the kid can't catch a break.
And Sheffield unable to catch the ball. There is one on with two out. One of the quiet stars of this league that nobody ever talks about, Carlos Guillen.
You got that right. What a player this kid is.
Now you look at who's got the better batting average, better slugging percentage the last 3 years. Is it Jeter or this guy? It's this guy. Not that Derek Jeter is a bad player. He's probably going to be the MVP this year.
Probably should be the MVP this year. You think of all the great years that Derek Jeter has had, and this probably his best.
The added load of having to get it done without Matsui and without Sheffield in the lineup for so much of this year, too. There's Guillen. Oh, just parachuted into right field. That's a Jeter-like thing right there. Find a way to get it done, get that two-out base hit. Pudge Rodriguez coming up.
Well, Josh, a couple very strange defensive plays we're seeing here. I think Cano got fooled by this ball and how hard it hit. Look, he doesn't move. Hard to say, but he probably could have taken a step or two steps back and then jumped for that ball. It looked to me like he got froze on it, like he wasn't sure how hard it was hit. He stood dead still and then tried to out-jump the ball, and he was unable to do it.
A ball just out of his reach early in the game yesterday, Steve, led directly to a couple of runs. Again, a 6-0 final yesterday, the Kenny Rogers shutdown show.
You know, what got lost in that play, too, was Ordonez and great instincts. Cano comes up with that ball. Obviously, Ordonez can't go very far, but he made it all the way to third on this. Look at Ordonez running, looking to see the play, didn't hesitate a bit, knew the ball was over his head, and he easily gets into third. If he hesitates at all, he has to stop.
The man who caught Kenny Rogers' perfect game in Texas many years ago, Pudge Rodriguez. Center, it is 4-0, and another Tiger trying to take the extra base. It is coming apart for the New York Yankees here in Detroit, Michigan.
That's classic Pudge Rodriguez, right back up the middle and the other way, and there's no reason for the Tigers not to be aggressive on the bases. Johnny Damon does not have a good arm in center field. Watch Guillen at first. Forget about it. We're going. Hard turn at second. Damon doesn't throw well, and we're winning this game.
That's a play that Kenny Rogers maybe makes out there on the mound. Jared Wright didn't. He's gone. Corey Lytle now on the mound, and the first one is a good one to Craig Monroe. Runners at the corners, 2 down. Jared Wright chased from the game here in inning 3. Tigers lead the best of 5, Steve Lyons, 2-1. And this crowd is in hyperdrive right now. They are totally behind their Detroit Tigers.
There was a lot of thought by Joe Torre and the Yankee organization as to who would be the starter for this ball game. Maybe it would be Corey Lytle, but Jarrett Wright got the ball and hasn't fared so well for him, and now Lytle ends up on the mound.
Craig Monroe has already popped out a 2-run homer in this game. Tigers with a 3-run second inning, as they had in last night's game. They have tacked on an unearned run here in the third. Again, the error charged to Alex Rodriguez on a ball that probably should have been caught by Gary Sheffield at first. I saw the shot of Jeremy Bonderman watching on just a moment ago, Steve. The Yankees, a team that's supposed to work the count, make the other guy nervous, especially when he's 23 and pitching in a game like this. It's been 9 up, 9 down for Bonderman, needing 23 pitches to get 9 outs. Three and two.
Well, do you wonder in this situation for Corey Lytle, who's normally a starter, how well he'll perform out of the bullpen? Did he get enough warm-up tosses out there to be 100% ready? He's not a power guy.
No, and Craig Monroe is a guy who hits changeups and off-speed pitches very well.
He hit a breaking ball out of the park already today. People talk about their roles and when they pitch and how they pitch. Jim Leyland put that to rest early on with his Tiger club. He said at first people were worried about their roles. When am I going to grab the ball out of the bullpen? He put that all to rest by saying, you'll pitch when I hand you the ball, and then I expect you to get guys out.
Got him. Tigers strand 2, but they score 1 to make it a 4-0 lead in Game 4 on Fox. A rocky ride today for Jared Wright. Walked right by his catcher right there, Mr. Posada, right on down into the clubhouse, Steve Lyons.
Well, Posada was putting the wrong fingers down. Or at least that's probably the way Jared Wright's feeling right now.
Something did not go well. It is 4-0 Tigers. Johnny Damon now, as it's kind of take 2 here for New York, top of the order. And already, I know it's a very short sample size here, Steve, but hey, taking it. 2 pitches in a row. They haven't done that against Jeremy Bonderman in this game. They'll swing at the third. Well, Johnny Damon, it's been 10 up, 10 down. You saw the note on Bonderman there. Twice this series let a 6-0 lead slip away. Once while he was working on a no-hitter. That was in Minnesota. Then last time out trying to clinch the division against Kansas City.
There's the growing process for Bonderman. Look at that hard sinking fastball. He used to be a high rider guy. Worked very hard on throwing that sinker. Pudge Rodriguez told us before that sometimes it's hard for him to control because there's so much movement on it. That's a very effective weapon, especially in today's ballgame, the way he's pounding the strike zone with it.
Michigan native Derek Jeter, a couple hours away from here. Kalamazoo, his hometown. So the thing that strikes me about Bonderman, Steve, I mean, at bottom, this guy's a 2-pitch pitcher. Power fastball, devastating slider, but that changeup has been an on-again, off-again commodity at best. I think heading in, you wondered, can a 2-pitch pitcher go 7 strong innings against a team like the Yankees?
As long as one of your pitches is a slider like this one. Now you see it. See you later.
It's one thing when you've got Melky Cabrera reaching for a ball, but when you're making Derek Jeter look like that, Your stuff's pretty good.
The MVP taking a hack like that on that kind of a pitch right there.
Bobby Abreu, a check swing foul.
Now, to me, Derek Jeter really summed up what he's all about in 3 words. I talked to him yesterday and I said, Derek, with all the great years that you've had, has this been your best ever? And he looked at me and he said, if we win.
Abreu lauded for working the count. He's seen only 3 pitches and 2 at-bats. And the Yankees are in quicksand. 4-0 Tigers in Game 4. Tigers dominating Game 4, 4-0. And Corey Lytle on in relief of Jared Wright. 4s and a strike here to Marcus Thames. All 5 hits in the game have come off the bats of the Tigers. Breaking ball slowly up near third. Alex Rodriguez. This time Sheffield with the stretch. He's got it.
Rodriguez rounding that ball off so that he can get all his momentum on his throw to first. And Sheff with a pretty sweet little stretch for that ball, doing the splits. Showing some flexibility that I only dream about.
It's a couple times that Sheff has done that since going to first base. On that one, the ball probably could have come to him and he would have been okay, but now we know he is gymnastic. Brandon Inge, the batter. His son Tyler turned 2 yesterday. He said, my teammates gave my kid something he'll never forget yesterday. A big win. The Yankees unable to score yesterday at all and have not scored today.
18 straight innings for arguably the best offensive lineup that's ever been produced. They haven't scored a run since Johnny Damon hit a 3-run shot in the seats in New York.
To support that guy, Mike Mussina.
Your leadoff guy.
In for the grounder to short. Things are settling down a little bit now. That's 3 straight retired by the New York Yankees going back to last inning. Fox NFL Sunday returning doubleheader action tomorrow. Redskins and Giants. Then T.O. goes to Philadelphia. Wow. Cowboys and Eagles plus other regional action. But I would have to say that the T.O. going to Philly thing will probably capture just a modicum of attention. It all starts with America's #1 pregame show live from Philadelphia. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Want to know the count to Granderson. Again, we got some peekaboo with the shadows on the field right now. Kind of an odd start time today, 4:30 East Coast time. From the sunshine into the shadows, there is Johnny Damon. And the Tigers have that 4-0 lead now intact at the end of 4. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. Odd. And in 100 years, 1,000 years, a million years, whatever the hyperbole is, when Tommy was cutting those spots, when he was talking about, hey, if you're a fan of, you know, the Devil Rays or the Indians, don't fret, still watch. I think he thought he'd be talking about Yankee fans. Sheffield drives one down the left field line. That's going to hook and go foul. The Yankees are indeed close to being eliminated here in Detroit. They're down 2-1. They're trailing this game 4-0. And Steve, they are hitless in their last 21 at-bats going back to last night.
It's amazing, but be careful. This Yankee team can get back in any game, anytime, and they have settled down defensively.
Bonderman's just not letting them up for air.
He's just got Sheffield baffled. Sheffield committing way too early again. That ball down and away from him. He can't reach it, but he's way out in front of it. Wow. And
again, you ask, where are the deep counts? Where's a walk from the New York Yankees today?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Obviously, the Yankees are a patient team because a lot of times they're patient because there's a lot of starting pitchers out there that don't want to throw the ball over the plate.
It's like Freaky Friday, but on a Saturday. The two teams have almost changed uniforms here. The Yankees are swinging at everything. The Tigers are working the count. It is 4-0 Detroit.
It's the Curt Schilling rule. Pretty tough to be patient against a guy who pounds the strike zone like Curt Schilling does. And Jeremy Bonderman's doing the same thing. Hard to be patient when you're 0-2 every at-bat.
That is incredible. 35 pitches, and he's almost through the 5th inning. There's a lot of times the Yankees don't let you get through the 1st inning before they make you throw 35 pitches.
So much for paintball. Leland was worried that Bonderman might be a little over-geeked. That's the way he put it. Settle down and pitch.
Only 6 pitches have missed the strike zone in 5 innings. You want that ratio to be 2-1. It is now 5-1.
Gosh, I always thought one of the greater motivators as far as a manager is concerned is Dusty Baker. He shows up, he has a player's mentality, he's wearing wristbands. Look at Jimmy Leland. He wears cleats, puts them on about noon, walks around in them, gets on the field, hits ground balls. There's not another manager in the game that manages the game wearing cleats. I love it.
How many have an open package of Twinkies and Ho-Hos in their room? Because that's what Jimmy Leland had about 2 feet from his desk. I think Jim Leland is straight out of Central Casting, Steve. If Hollywood said, get us a grizzled, chain-smoking, old-school manager, they would send Jim Leland to your soundstage.
There's Joe Torre's feet.
There's Bonderman's fastball, 2-2.
Well, Bonderman being able to get in on the lefties with that fastball. Remember, we talked about him being able to command the outer half of the plate to left-handers. He's been able to get in on them very, very well today. Filthy.
Since game 1, this most explosive offense in baseball, that of the New York Yankees, has been reduced to just a trickle at best. The only scoring for New York in the last 3 games now, that 3-run homer by Johnny Damon. Otherwise, they're an over. It is 4-0 Detroit today. Jeremy Bonderman is the story. Strike 1 to Polanco. Corey Lytle into the game when Jared Wright couldn't get out of the 3rd. Three runs in the 2nd, 1 unearned run in that 3rd inning for Detroit. Tigers won with a shutout yesterday, 6-0. And Steve, as you and I were talking about, this was a downtrodden bunch of Tigers at the end of the regular season. They had lost 5 straight, 31 out of 50. Ground ball, Jeter tears after it, no play.
I think one of the big keys for the Tigers, having him back in the lineup every day, is the guy that just got the base hit. Polanco was also one of those guys when they lost him. They were 78-41 before he separated his shoulder. He missed 6 weeks of the season. The team went 14-21 without him. Key player both offensively and defensively for the Tigers.
Sean Casey, a couple of hits against Randy Johnson yesterday. This is a guy, Steve, who was originally signed by then Cleveland Indians scout Casey McKeon who happens to be the son of Jack McKeon, veteran manager, led the young Marlins to a World Series upset of these New York Yankees 3 years ago. I'll bring up 3 years ago, not just because Jack McKeon and Jim Leland are both kind of old school, older managers with a mustache, who may both end up engineering upsets over the Yankees, but 2003, that was the year the Tigers lost those 119 games. And, you know, we're not talking about a decade ago. That was 3 years ago.
10 guys on this ball club were on that team. So this Tiger team knows how to lose. They want to find out what it means to win.
His city has not seen winning baseball since 1993. I mean, literally, they have not been a game over 500 since 1993 until this year. Haven't been in the playoffs since '87.
Big attitude change with Leland and the rest of the coaching staff that he brought in here. Don Slott, the hitting coach, Andy Van Slyke. Boy, I had some great conversations with Andy about philosophy on hitting and what they try to do as a ball club here. A great working staff. You need to have guys that are willing to work to make your players better at the major league level, and that's what Jim Leland has.
Casey at Tampa, right field, base hit. And again, the Tigers looking to take the extra base. They've got it.
Sean Casey just doing what he does best, taking a pitch that's a little bit running away from him and just hooking it into right field. He knows he has the big hole over there because Sheffield's holding the runner on. Loves to get out and hook balls into right. Not going to hit a lot of home runs. Does his damage this way. Sean Casey, of course, signed with the Pirates, wanted to go back home. What a great addition. He has so much fun on a team that's having a lot of fun.
How much fun is this guy having? And not for nothing, against Lytle, lifetime, he's 11 out of 16.
Goodness. Don't throw it.
Got to. Oh, and pretty well done, too. 0-1.
Asked Sean Casey if they tried to do anything differently with him. You look at that big breaking ball away from Ordonez, and he said no. He said that's what's been great. He said both Van Slyke and Don Slott just work with guys' strengths. They don't try to change too much. He said, you know, I'm too old. If they wanted to change anything I'm doing, I'd just go home.
Another breaking ball, another base hit. 5-0, Detroit.
Fool me once. Threw the big breaking ball. Ordonez lunged at it. He was looking for the dead red against Jaret Wright early in the game. Now sitting all over this breaking ball second time around. Great balance. Didn't get too far out in front. Hammered it into left.
Again, Ordonez kind of new to the party here. Polanco, same thing, coming over last year. I look at Ordonez, Steve. I can't help but think of the guy he replaced in right field, Bobby Higginson. The Tigers, on Bobby Higginson's watch, I mean, Bobby Higginson retired having logged 11 seasons in the majors, 3 in the minors, 3 in college. Never was on a team that finished with a winning record. He was 0 for 17. He leaves. He's missing a great party.
Must have been his fault.
Well, and I mean, not to make too much of it, but you feel for guys like Higginson, and we mentioned that Tiger coaching staff, guys like Trammell and Gibson and Parrish, who worked so hard and wore that Old English D with such pride. That's another thing that's just unfortunate. Kirk Gibson is not here today. In fact, talked to Gibby a little bit before the game. Watching one of his sons play hockey today. Guillen belts it into right. That'll chase home at least one more. They settle for 1 instead of 2. It's all good. 6-0 Tigers.
Guillen, who hit .320 on the season. Came into this game in this series hitting .500. His second hit. Watch how fundamentally sound he is. Look at the eye concentration. Head down on the ball. Look at this. Looking straight out over it. Bent front leg. Casey, you got to hit one to the wall to score him. Huffing and puffing, coming around, getting it done.
Getting it done right now are the Detroit Tigers. Up 2 games to 1. They lead game 4, 6-0. Corey Lytle is out. Brian Bruni is in. The infield is in halfway with runners at second and third and nobody out. 6-0 Detroit. And here's Pudge Rodriguez. Ball 1 to him. Four consecutive hits to open up this bottom of the 5th inning. One and one the count to Pudge Rodriguez. And this ballpark, Steve Lyons, just crackling with electricity right now. Jeremy Bonderman. Nobody's supposed to be talking to Bonderman right now with what he's got going on. He has needed only 40 pitches to get through the first 5 innings. Rodriguez sails it towards center. Again, not much of an arm out there for Johnny Damon. The Tigers, knowing that, will send Mags Ordonez in from third. They add the extra point. 7-0 Detroit.
Well, you talk about a team who hadn't had a playoff game in 19 seasons. A good portion of these guys on this team were kids the last time it happened. They don't know that they're not supposed to be talking to a guy if he's got a no-hitter going.
Joe Torre is going to get Bruni out of there and change it up again. Desperate times calling for desperate measures here. It's to the bullpen one more time. 7-0. These fans are poised for the knockout punch. It is 7-0 Tigers. And if you're a fan or an alum of the University of Michigan, Steve Lyons, this shapes up as your greatest day ever. Michigan beating the stuffing out of Michigan State 17-0 in the big game in Ann Arbor. And here in Detroit, the Yankees now 19 consecutive innings without scoring. Look at all the zeros there for Bonderman. He's needed only 40 pitches to get through 5 innings. He has truly been something. He's thrown only 8 pitches out of the strike zone this entire ball game.
Well, he's actually thrown a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, but he's thrown so many pitches that look like strikes.
Right.
2 of them to Sheffield. It's impossible to hit it. It's tough to judge where the ball's going to be. He's thrown a ton of pitches that look like strikes that aren't, and he's just dominated this Yankee lineup.
You know, we had said it is kind of a warning shot that twice this year he's let a 6-0 lead slip away. Got to be cognizant of that, but it is now a 7-0 Tiger lead. Runner at second. 1 out. Scott Proctor, who led the American League, getting into 83 games. We got a nervous GM looking on, Brian Cashman.
Well, I thought it was very telling what Jim Leyland told us before the ball game, especially when he was talking about Kenny Rogers. He said, I ran Kenny Rogers out there. I know he hadn't beaten the Yankees in 13 years. I know his postseason numbers, but he was the guy that was next in line. He said, people thought I was an idiot for doing it. Guess what happened? And he said, we know we're the underdogs in this series. And he said, when you're the underdog, sometimes you have to try an onside kick. If you're at the Michigan game, they ain't going to be trying any onside kicks. And in this one, I don't think the Tigers are going to have to reach into their bag of tricks either.
The old bromide about good pitching beating good hitting certainly on display in this entire series, but it comes from Kenny Rogers, a guy that routinely was creamed by the New York Yankees, and coming from the 23-year-old Bonderman, who again didn't look like the kind of guy who matched up well against the Yankee lineup. It's remarkable. Wave and a miss by Monroe.
Watch Monroe again. We talked about his back foot coming up. That's not a big deal when he swings. That back foot coming out of there, trying to reach for that pitch away. Wasn't a great pitch to swing at, but that back foot will come up in the air every time he swings the bat. He already went deep once today and had 28 home runs and 92 RBIs on the season.
Down the right field line. And Abreu can't get it.
A guy down the line picking up his chair and running away. I don't think he would have been able to catch it anyway, but neither did any of the fans, and there was a few kids down there with a glove. That guy's just there to make sure fans don't jump onto the field.
Good luck keeping him off if the Tigers pull off this win.
Oh, yeah.
One and two, the count to Craig Monroe. Two-run homer from him back in the second. He's going to ground this one, a worm burner towards second base. Now a runner at third and two down.
Well, you get the feeling as you look around this ballpark and the electricity that's been in here, and it's a happy feeling. You know, you get the feeling that if the Tigers nail this down, there will be some serious celebrating, but you kind of think that, you know, this town has had a history of some crazy things going on in celebrations, and I just don't get the feeling that that kind of stuff will go on tonight if that happens.
No, this is time to let loose in a good way. Cue the Kid Rock music, right? Ain't no party like a Detroit party. We're going to find out if Kid Rock was right or wrong, it would appear. Foul back to the net. And, you know, you'd like to be able to say that, sure, I mean, it's the Yankees. You've got an entire lineup of guys that have been to at least one, some of them many, all-star games. And they've got it in them to come up with a heap of runs in a hurry. But as of right now, they are hitless for this baseball game. They're 0 for their last 24 going back to yesterday.
The thing is, they're not showing any signs of coming out of it. And you have to tip your cap. I mean, you can sit here all day long and talk about how the Yankees aren't doing anything. But Verlander and Zumaya and Rogers yesterday and Bonderman, unbelievable today. Hey, step back from it and understand that this team led all of baseball in team ERA. They've won 95 games. They've done it all year. Most of the country doesn't know about them, but certainly the American League does. The last American League team to lead all of baseball in ERA. I mean, think about it. It doesn't happen in the American League. Too many bats.
The DH, right?
The 0-1 Mariners.
Now, the last playoff matchup, Steve, between the highest scoring team in the majors, which is the Yankees this year, and the team with the best pitchers. And that's the Tigers this year. That was the 1995 World Series, Indians and Braves, and that was won by the team with the pitching.
Well, good pitching will beat good hitting. It's the oldest saying in the game.
Now, meantime, Bonderman on kind of a chilly, well, it's no longer an afternoon, but an evening now here in Detroit. He's been sitting for 22, almost 23 minutes now, watching the Tigers go to work on his behalf.
You love to see your team score runs, but you want to run back out there and pitch again.
He will get that chance right now. It will be with a 7-0 lead. The Tigers opened this fifth inning with 4 consecutive hits. And in Game 4 of the division series, they're leading 7-0. This is the deepest the Yankees have ever gone in a postseason game without a base runner. It is happening in Detroit, Michigan. It is happening because of that young man, 23-year-old Jeremy Bonderman, who had to sit around for a while. As a matter of fact, Steve, 23, now 24 minutes from the time that he threw his last pitch until this one coming up to Robinson Cano.
Well, you had 3 runs scored, a couple pitching changes.
Boy, he looks real phased, doesn't he? Strike one to Cano. Cano fly to left to open the third inning. And you'll hear the Yankees stepping out on Bonderman. They know what's at stake here.
I remember Jeremy Bonderman was really the featured player in that Moneyball book. The guy where Billy Beane said to have thrown his chair across the room when they drafted him.
There goes a no-hitter. Paul Abbott had done it to them for 5 1/3. As you saw in that graphic, Jeremy Bonderman did it to him for 5 innings. Robinson Cano breaks it up.
Just a bouncer up the middle. Oh, Bonderman made the smart move right there. He thought about jumping up there and barehanding that ball with his meat hand. He thought better of it and pulled it back and let that ball go up the middle.
Now Alex Rodriguez, and he will chop one near third. That's a foul ball.
Well, you love to see a guy that has a certain measure of success after the hard times that Bonderman has had in this organization. It's in his 4th season now, just 23 years old. A couple of seasons ago, he lost 19 games on a horrible Detroit team. All of these younger kids got better together. They always had tremendous talent. They needed to learn how to win and needed how to learn how to win at the major league level, and they have done that.
Yeah, 6 and 19. But his blue-collar work ethic, that easy delivery, it all pointed to a big payoff down the road, and that is exactly what's happening right now. One and one the count. Alex Rodriguez fouls it again. At least A-Rod has got some company in this game. No, he doesn't have a hit, but Robinson Cano is the only Yankee who does.
Bonderman, especially to the right-handers, has had so much success in this count right here, throwing that slider hard down and away. With a 1-2 count, you might want to stand A-Rod up one time with a hard fastball up and in, and then go to that slider away. But so far into today's ball game, Bonderman hasn't been wasting any time. Looks like he is going to go up and in.
To third, Brandon Inge gets a 1 out there. Rodriguez safe at first. 4 for his last 40 now in postseason play. A moment ago, we talked to Jim Leyland, manager of the Tigers. Let's listen in. Well, Jim, we talked about Bonderman and giving up leads of 6-0. You got 7-0 right now. How you feeling?
Well, you know, right now everything's going pretty good. You know, I thought Joe Torre just made a great move. I hope it goes unnoticed at the end of this game, believe me. But, you know, he had Bruni in there, and then he went to Proctor right away, and he made Bonderman sit around a while. Hope he stiffens up, you know, make him think about it a little bit. So I hope it doesn't turn out to be a great move, but that's a tremendous managerial move, in my opinion.
Jim, we told the story about Bonderman and how you like to try to get him to settle down, and he would be a bad paintball player. How good is this paintball tonight?
Well, so far he's on target, so we'll just see how this goes the rest of the way, and, you know, we just got to keep playing.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
At the time we talked to him, you know, the guy had a 23-year-old on the mound pitching a no-hitter. His team is leading a potentially clinching game 7-0. He says, yeah, so far it's going okay.
Walk in the park.
In a city that, again, you know, not to hammer this point home, Steve, but you talk about starving to become a baseball town again. They've already seen championships in the NBA and the NHL. These are great fans. We know that. They're great sports fans. But the baseball fans, they've been dormant, closeted away because their team, I mean, let's face it, has stunk until this season.
It has a lot to do with what we talked about before, the maturation process from a lot of young kids getting better at the major league level, and all the credit that you have given to the former regime, and it's well-deserved with Trammell and Gibby and the guys that were here. But then a new attitude when Jim Leyland came in and said, you know what, we're not losing anymore. I won't have it, never been a loser, and you aren't going to do it anymore as long as I'm around. Brought in some key veterans, Rogers being one of them. key kids coming up, Verlander, Zumaya.
Towards second, there's one. On to first, too late. Fielder's choice. Let's go to Ken Rosenthal.
A lot of risk when he assembled this team. They made some great moves, of course, claiming Craig Monroe on waivers, getting Carlos Guillen in a heist of a trade from Seattle, but the 5-year, $75 million deal for Magglio Ordonez coming off knee surgery raised some eyebrows. So did the 4-year, $40 million deal for Pudge the year before. The Tigers had some outs in these contracts, some protection if these players broke down, but within the industry, those deals were widely criticized. Obviously, they're paying off right here.
It was said it takes a while to turn a battleship around. There are no quick fixes when you lose 119 in a season. It took these guys 3 years. But they have turned that battleship right into Game 4 of the division series and maybe into a date with the Oakland A's, Steve, coming up next week. Strike one to Johnny Damon.
Ken talked about the deal that they made with Seattle, bringing Carlos Guillen here. That deal almost was never made. Before that, Seattle had traded Guillen to the Cleveland Indians for Omar Vizquel. Vizquel shows up, flunks his physical because he was coming off of knee surgery. They scrapped that deal, signed Rich Aurelia, who they thought would be their everyday shortstop,
That's right,
and traded Guillen to Detroit on the same day.
That mirrors the time that Bonderman was developing. What a game he's got developing right here. A one-hitter. And it stays that way. 7-0 Tigers. A festive at Comerica Park right now with the Tigers leading Game 4, 7-0, and looking for more. Brandon Inge takes a whack at one. He's behind 0-1. You talked about it earlier, Steve. This is the one guy left over from when Dave Dombrowski took over.
Former catcher in the organization, caught a ton of games, moved him to third base. He said, when I first started catching, I was never a catcher. I signed as a shortstop. They put me back there. Made it all the way to the big leagues that way. But, well, you talk to everybody, including Andy Van Slyke, who's a first base coach who knows a little bit about playing defense. Says he's the most athletic third baseman he's ever seen.
Statistically, he got to more balls than any other third baseman.
There's Andy.
Guy with playoff experience himself, or Jim Leland.
Could he run it down? And swing it.
When's Ordonez getting a haircut, you figure?
Never. Not if they keep winning.
0-2 is a breaking ball down too low.
Talked to Brandon before the game. I said, are you a catcher or a third baseman? And he looked at me and said, I hated catching. I love playing third.
Moving the family to near Clemson, South Carolina this offseason. They're the Tigers, too. Up too high, 2-2 to Inge. Major lockdown mode right here. Hitting 121 as a team since the middle of Game 2. That's one thing Brandon Inge has done so well. If you look at Mariano Rivera, not needed.
Not needed.
You talk about Inge. I mean, this is a guy who has steadily improved at working the count. Says he likes to think of it as sorting through the junk mail, looking for the paycheck.
Not only that, his power numbers have improved every year of his career.
That one doesn't quite get where he wanted to get it. He floats it towards left field. We go for an update. Jeannie Zelasco standing by in the Fox Network Center.
The Dodgers and the Padres on the brink today. Let's start with San Diego in St. Louis. They staved off elimination with the help of Russell Branyan. Triple home 2 runs, and the Padres didn't look back. The Cardinals, though, still have the 2-1 edge in that series. And coming up next on Fox, live from Dodger Stadium, who will it be, the Mets or the Dodgers? L.A. needs this one to win, but will they have Nomar Garcia-Parra's services? We'll find out. It's coming up next on Fox.
Thank you, Jeannie. Pair of 15-game winners oppose each other. Traxel and Maddox in that one. There's Granderson at the plate taking strike 1.
The Dodgers are looking at elimination right there. If Maddox pitches well, I believe the Dodgers will score enough runs off of Traxel to win that ball game, but it all depends on Maddox.
Jeter gets rid of it. Granderson is out. There's that pitching matchup. You'll see the game on Fox. And yes, Southern California has already found a way to get it done once today. The Padres. Now the Dodgers need to find a way. They've got game 3 and game 4 in L.A.
Well, last night was the first time in history in a playoff game that you saw 2 40-year-old starters in a ball game with Johnson and Rogers. And in that Dodger matchup, Traxel not quite 40. Maddox 41.
Here's Polanco. And that ball will find right center field. It is a 10th Tiger hit. Polanco's got 2 of them.
Fighting their way to get into the ballpark tonight. If you don't have a ticket, you don't get in. Look at the opposite field stroke that Polanco uses. I mean, just so good. He's already hit a bullet at the second baseman, Cano, but look at how he pulls his hands through first, lets that bat head drag through the zone. Well, that guy is one sweet hitter.
Now, a tough guy not to root for if you're just a fan of baseball in general. Polanco, one of them. Casey, certainly the batter right now, is another.
It's hard not to like Sean Casey because it doesn't matter who you are. You get the feeling if you meet him that he loves you. He'll come up and talk to you. He's got great things to say. I mean, the guy's impossible not to like.
When Frank Burns said on MASH, it's nice to be nice to the nice, that is the essence of Sean Casey, courtesy of old Parrot Face. Down near first, it is a fair ball. Polanco being waved. Relay throw coming. It is too late.
Sean Casey, that ball down and in. It's a mistake to go there. Loves to pull the ball. We talked about that before. Hits this one right down the line. It's going to bang around in the corner. Watch Polanco come. As soon as the ball gets by, he knows he's going to have a chance to score. But when he slides at home plate, it almost looks like his right leg gets hooked on home plate. Tough slide. Hopefully he's not injured.
And meantime, Mr. Nice Guy is down there with an RBI double at second. There's the slide you're talking about. 1 strike the count to Ordonez. He's had a huge game. Started the scoring with a home run back in the second.
There's Polanco. Looked like he just stopped as soon as he hit a home plate and didn't do a whole lot of sliding. His body took a bad hop.
Two strikes, 2 out. And a little bloop. 3 innings left. And the Tigers and their fans can celebrate. We'll be back after a word from your local Fox station. Combination of go blue and bless you boys today. The Detroit Tigers having a 1984 flashback as they look like they're about to move on in the postseason. And just down the road in Ann Arbor, Michigan 24, Michigan State nothing. The other big game. Derek Jeter at the plate, and that's appropriate. A lot of people thought he'd be going to the University of Michigan. In fact, the Yankees scout that locked him up, the number 6 overall pick back in 1992. He was asked, isn't that guy Jeter, isn't he going to Michigan? And he was told, no, he's going to Cooperstown.
Yeah.
Signed with the Yankees, he is essentially Mr. New York Yankee.
When you think about the Yankees and the 26 World Championships, you feel like they never lose, but seriously, since '01, when the Yankees are facing an elimination game in the postseason, they are 2-5 with no World Series championships to show.
If there's a comeback in the offing, that's the guy, no doubt, who will be in the middle of it. Earlier this year, Steve, the Yankees down 9. Jeter led him back in a game against the Texas Rangers to win a very unlikely game, 14-13. They're running out of time for that kind of magic right now. Conventional wisdom is when a team outspends its nearest competitor by 70 mil, they ought to at least win a World Series, if not become a legendary dynasty, which I think is why the Yankees' failure to win a World Series since Y2K is seen as such a big deal in so many circles. When you're the most renowned sports franchise in the world, as it's been said, every game, every pitch takes on a magnified proportion.
And the pressure is enormous.
One strike to Bobby Abreu. Let's go to Kenny Rosenthal. Ken Rosenthal, are you there?
Yes, Josh, and you're absolutely right. Most likely with a $200 million team, if that team doesn't advance past the first round of the playoffs, there are going to be a ton of questions and a ton of changes. We may be looking at Alex Rodriguez's last game as a Yankee today. He has a no-trade clause, but he may just agree to waive it at some point, even though he has said he would not. Gary Sheffield, his option likely to be declined. Mike Mussina, he might not be brought back. Joe Torre, $7 million salary for next season, but there's no guarantee he'll be back with Lou Piniella sitting out there. And those are just the beginning kinds of changes that the Yankees might face.
That was a foul ball. Well, what do you think? I mean, I'm not really asking you to handicap it, I guess, Ken, but I mean, if the Yankees go out in such an unceremonious fashion like this, does that sway it? I mean, the fact that they would have lost 3 in a row and just are getting clobbered today.
I think that does sway it, and this is embarrassing for this team. There's no question about it. After game 1, we were all ready to anoint them as World Series champions,
right,
and they've completely fallen apart, and we've seen this in postseasons past. That Angels series in '02, the Marlins World Series, this is not that unusual for them in this decade, and I think this time it's going to be met with less acceptance than before.
The Yankees, though, still have some outs to play with. There is a base hit down on the count by Abreu. I think one of the interesting little subplots now, Steve, is with Jeremy Bonderman still sailing right now. It's a 3-hitter and it's a shutout. Do you keep on keeping on with Bonderman, or at least scramble that bullpen now and get some action going?
I think they will get some action going very shortly. And, you know, Jimmy Leyland has a history of this. There was a time earlier in the season, July 7th, Bonderman threw 8 2/3 innings against the Mariners. He was leading 6-0 at the time. He needed 1 out for a complete game, and Leyland came out and got him. He's not going to worry about pulling a trigger. He said on this team, it's a lot more important to win games than worry about your personal stats.
Sheffield is swinging a miss. You saw Walker and Rodney getting loose in the bullpen.
I don't think Sheffield's going to see a strike in his at-bat. He's already proven that he can't determine the difference between a fastball and Bonderman's slider. Bonderman has abused him with that slider, so I would assume he'll throw fastballs out of the zone if he throws any at all, and then try to get Sheffield out with the slider.
Sheffield lunging, pokes it to right field, and it's Polanco. Did you notice, by the way, the Yankees actually had a hit with a man on base right before that at bat? That hadn't happened in, well, I mean, it seems like weeks. But yesterday was 0 for 18. Today it had been 0 for 3 before the Abreu single in right.
Well, we're talking obviously, and it's hard to talk about the Yankees without talking about their payroll up around $200 million. It was a great little note in Game 2 when Joel Zumaya came in and he struck out Jeter, Giambi, and A-Rod. A combined $66.7 million, 204 times the amount that Zumaya made.
Amazing. Casey gets one. Casey gets, oh, just that one. And the shutout bid ends. First base umpire Larry Poncino on the call. The Yankees are at least on the scoreboard here. It is 8-1. RBI for Matsui.
Matsui trying to pull a ball away from him. Bonderman stayed out of the middle of the plate all day. Great turn by Casey. Guillen couldn't quite get it back to Bonderman in time. Tough turn because Casey had to go a long way for that ball. Casey wanted it. Thought he had it.
The Yankees, the last 2 games now, Steve, 1 for 24 with men on base.
And once again, I think it really has to be reiterated that we can go on and on about how the Yankees have collapsed. But what they have done, at least in this series, they've bumped into a better team. This is a better ball club right now than the Yankees are playing. And you have to tip your cap to the Detroit Tigers in what they've done. They've forced the action in this series.
One and one the count to Posada. The cool weather, that's fine with Jeremy Bonderman. He is from the Pacific Northwest, from Kennewick, Washington. I'm sure that this weather right now, 57 degrees, very crisp. This is exactly how he went at it as a middle schooler and a high schooler. All the talk about a potential Subway Series, Mets and Yankees. And the Mets are still in good shape, and unless there's Subway service between New York and Detroit, or New York and Oakland, doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Could get on a train, but I don't think it's going subterranean.
Posada trying to keep it alive here for the Yankees. A base hit.
Bonderman has just done a fantastic job, but you get the feeling he's nearing the end of his rope here now. You know, Jimmy Leland stirring around there. Talk to his coaches, make sure whoever's down in the pen is ready to go, and you got to think that this may be it for Bonderman right here. May be his last hitter, whether he gets him out or not.
How appropriate would it be for a team that says it never gets any respect if they go get a guy named Rodney right now to come in and pitch? And Jim Leland plays that card, I think, very well. The whole, I mean, without trying to overdo it, the whole nobody expect anything to happen. Nobody thought you guys could win. He talked about freshman versus varsity is how it's been perceived here in this series.
He loves that. I think the world against us is a common theme for this ball club, and I think they thrive on it.
This entire city thrives on that. Cano with a grounder. Foul.
We're not any good. We shouldn't be here. We can't compete with this team. Lie in the weeds.
And again, it's just so appropriate in that I don't think any city gets beaten on more than Detroit. And the citizens of this city have developed an inferiority complex wide as the Windsor River. Pistons championships, Red Wings championships, and still it seems like they constantly are told their city is not amounting to much. Their team is looking great. It is 7th inning stretch of game 4. 8-1 Tigers. A little Motown Modown going on right here, Steve Lyons. It is 8-1 Tigers, bottom of the 7th. The Tigers lead this best-of-5 series 2-1. And it did not seem possible. After game 1, the Yankees ripped it up. Looked like they might coast. There was a game 2 rainout in New York. The Tigers had to scramble to find a hotel lodging that night to come back the next day and play. Strike 1 to Carlos Guillen.
Well, there were a lot of things going against the Tigers early on with the rain delay and the searching for hotel rooms at 1 o'clock in the morning. The game 1 defeat. I tell you, they turned it around in a hurry.
Not to mention, Steve, that every prognosticator, every pundit out there, I think you and I included in this, that ball is going to scoot up the middle, base hit for Guillen. Everybody thought this run would go the Yankees' way. In a 5-game series, I didn't see anybody predicting the Detroit Tigers. Check our Pepsi complete double play real quick. Those 2 home runs hit by the Tigers back in the 2nd inning. Ordonez and Monroe. A tone being set early on.
Well, there are about 25 guys and a coaching staff in the entire country that thought they could win.
Malone and Myers getting ready in the Yankee bullpen. Again, Jared Wright started today. Lasted just 2 2/3. Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. Back to the mound. Clocker spins. Gets 1, and that's it. And again, Yankee fans know all too well that Pudge Rodriguez on a big stage can get it done. He helped the Marlins to an upset win in the World Series 3 years ago. The Tigers that season, their season had mercifully come to an end a month earlier. They had lost 119 games.
Oh. It's a rough year to go through.
I think the fact that a lot of these guys that are still on the team now did go through it. You look at Craig Monroe up at the plate right now. To be on that road, and they'll be able to kind of see it all the way through. High times right now for the Tigers. But how about these Yankees?
It's not the look of confidence, is it? You look at the Tiger uniform and minus the pinstripes, very, very similar to the Yankee home uniform. The Tigers the only team in baseball that wear a color in their road uniforms that doesn't appear anywhere on their home uniform. The orange trim and the orange D on the cap. They don't show that color off at home.
Tiger owner Mike Ilitch, who is Detroit born and bred, very passionate about that Old English D. During workouts, players have to keep that D in full view at all times. A windbreaker's got to be worn under the uniform instead of over. That goes down to the minor leagues. They want pride in that Old English D, but Mike Ilitch has said all that Tiger history, that's good reading material, but it doesn't mean a thing unless you win. Pride doesn't come from a good old-fashioned logo. It comes from beating the New York Yankees. What a thrill this has got to be for the somewhat reclusive owner of these Tigers. Mike Ilitch has seen a championship season or two with his hockey team, the Red Wings. But Mike Ilitch grew up here in Detroit, a product of Cooley High School, just about 3 miles from here, and played minor league ball in the Tigers organization. Now he runs the show, and he's got to just be bursting with pride in what his guys have done.
Well, I'll tell you what, Craig Monroe is a great fastball hitter. 28 homers on the year. He's got 2 in this series. He's going to be sitting dead red on this 3-2 pitch. You better put it in a good location, or he may lose another one.
Pudge Rodriguez goes, and Craig Monroe floats it towards right. Bobby Abreu has got it. It's not like the Tigers have no history to point to, Steve. I'll flash you back. Kirk Gibson off the goose. Now, we mentioned Kirk Gibson has not been appearing at Tiger games this year, but he is still such a fan favorite.
Sparky. There's an old Gibby uni.
Chop ball near third. Alex Rodriguez to Gary Sheffield, and that's the inning. We go to the 8th. Game 4 being dominated by Detroit, 8-1. Here in Detroit, a palpable air of anticipation as the Tigers have taken that 8-1 lead in a could-be decisive Game 4. Alex Rodriguez, a miserable series, will take strike one. It sounds like an unbelievable thing to even be floating out there, Steve, but are we potentially seeing the last at bat for Alex Rodriguez in a Yankee uniform?
No, I certainly hope not, and I believe he still thinks he has bigger and better things to do in this uniform. It all comes down to postseason play. He's never going to be a true Yankee until he has an outstanding postseason, not just a normal one, not just one where he's a part of the team that wins. He has to be the star. He was an MVP last year. He had an unbelievable offensive season this year, 35 home runs and 121. It is never enough to be a Yankee if you don't do it in the postseason.
He has been dropped to 8th in the order in this game. And you see in that postseason career, that bottom number, that is an all-time record, 0 for 16. With runners in scoring position, 2 out. No one had ever done that. Lift off towards center. That ball carries. Granderson on the move. And that's probably a pretty good microcosm of what we're talking about. Alex Rodriguez hits the ball 410 feet, but it's just not enough, is it? And look at what's, wow.
Look at these three guys, Sheffield, Giambi, Rodriguez. Giambi not in the lineup tonight, but those three guys, 3 for 32 in this series.
Melky Cabrera 0 for 2. Joe Torre moving things around, jostling the lineup to get Cabrera some at-bats in this one. Again, Walker and Rodney getting ready for the Tigers. Boy, Bonderman had around 80 pitches for this baseball game. A Yankee lineup that's supposed to work you over and tire you out.
Bonderman hasn't broken a sweat.
Johnny Damon will bat. It feels like October baseball. It is 56 degrees. It's crisp. Yankee Stadium October weather. But the new Yankee Stadium might be Comerica Park.
Well, if this score holds up, and it looks like it is, you're not going to be playing any more baseball in Yankee Stadium this season.
3-1 the count to Damon. Randy Johnson outpitched last night by fellow 40-something Kenny Rogers.
And you know that there are tons of Yankee fans sitting in New York in disbelief right now. That is if they haven't thrown stuff at their TV.
Joe Torre's stoicism, his calm demeanor amid all the New York turmoil has made it so easy to admire him, but now he's looking at this. Damon draws a walk. Jeter coming up. And don't forget, NFL action plays on Fox tomorrow. Huge game as the Cowboys tangle with the Philadelphia Eagles. T.O. goes home. Well, maybe not home, but back to Philadelphia. And what amazing theater that should be. It all starts with America's #1 pregame show live from Philly at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. No gift baskets being exchanged between T.O. and Donovan McNabb.
Who does exchange gift baskets with T.O.?
His publicist, maybe? I don't know. What a weird week. Here's Jeter. Strike one. It's a great spot if you can sneak on up there, the parking garage.
Come and enjoy the game.
Not a bad strategy, really. If you can't get tickets, pay $15 to park, just get out and stand on your car.
And you're the first one in your car when the game's over. That's a different version of a double-decker bus right there.
It is hip to be a Tiger fan again.
And that Tiger on the mound tonight, Jeremy Bonderman, has just been outstanding in the biggest game of his life. Now, when you think about it too, Josh, if the Yankees do go on to lose this series, it will be the third straight series that they have lost in the playoffs. Got bounced by the Angels last year, and of course, the huge comeback in 04 by the Red Sox 2 seasons ago, and now right here at the hands of the Tigers.
Trying to put away the guy who's the face of the New York Yankees and all the many successes they've had. Derek Jeter fighting to stay alive, 1-2. I'll talk about Torre. It's been 11 years. Torre still has the gig. There have been 91 managerial changes. Steinbrenner hasn't made one of the 91 since Torre's been here.
Well, there was at least 91 that Steinbrenner made with the Yankees before Torre got there.
Well, the Joe Torre stoicism, the Derek Jeter stoicism as well. All of that kind of put to the test here and what's been happening in Detroit, where the Tigers have outscored the Yankees 14-1 in games 3 and game 4.
Now, Leland wants Bonderman to finish this inning. Wants him to get through this here and come off the field to the biggest applause he will have in his whole career. He wants this last out.
Boy, a veteran at bat here by Derek Jeter grows the count full. "23 years old, Jeremy Bonderman, having his way with the Yankees today."
Basically asking them to gut up for one more pitch. No quitting that guy, is there? Jeter.
Be a 9th pitch here to Derek Jeter as again the temperature dips. The wind picking up. Fly ball, right field. Bonderman gets it done. Steve Lyons, Josh Lewin in chilly Detroit. Kyle Farnsworth will take over on the mound. The Yankees are in, well, I mean, to say they're in trouble doesn't even really get close to it, Steve. I mean, not just in this game, not just in this series, but the question starts being asked, where do you go from here?
Spend more money?
Hasn't worked. Brandon Inge will lead it off, and you know, it is the last several years kind of like the Yankees have gotten fat off the empty calories of the big name players, Steve. They've ignored little things like the bullpen and the bench sometimes. And as we all saw in that World Baseball Classic back in March, just assembling a bunch of sluggers doesn't necessarily win you a championship. Good deep pitching, a good deep bench, playing good team baseball made winners of Japan and Korea, while the U.S. belly flopped with the losses to Canada and Mexico.
Well, there are a lot of Yankee fans out there that will tell you that when Sheffield and Matsui went down, they played a little bit more like that with some of the guys that were filling in for them. Aaron Guile, Phillips got a little bit more playing time. Milky Cabrera.
And zaps one in the left. Leadoff man is on here in the 8th inning. Let's go to Jeannie Zalasko for an update on the Fox Network Center.
You know what we're going to show you coming up next on Fox. 2 New York teams in the postseason. How many will advance? The Mets still like their chances. They can eliminate the Dodgers today. Game 3 of the NLDS features Greg Maddux and Steve Traxel. A trip to the NLCS on the line. That is coming up next on Fox.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Jeannie. And yeah, I mean, a couple of proven commodities in that one, with Traxel going up against Maddux. Granderson taking down and in. Let's talk for a moment, though, Steve, about the guy who has carried the load today for the Tigers, Jeremy Bonderman. Will not turn 24 until the day after the World Series ends, if it goes 7 games.
Bonderman was involved in that 3-way deal where the Yankees said Ted Lilly to the A's. Bonderman came here with Carlos Pena. Jeff Weaver went to the Yankees. Took his lumps here, lost 19 games in 03.
And if you read the book Moneyball, you'll remember Bonderman as the A's draft pick that prompted Oakland GM Billy Beane to hurl that chair through a cement wall. Beane has said he was actually more upset that the player he had really wanted, Chris Burke, had just been chosen by the Astros. But the bottom line is the chair went into the wall. Bonderman, not a guy destined to buy real estate in Oakland. And yeah, he was traded here as part of a 3-way deal with the Yankees. The Jeff Weaver part of it working out spectacularly poorly for New York.
And Billy Beane hasn't fared too poorly since either.
Weaver, one of those victims of New York stories. I think Kenny Rogers is on that list as well. But here's Bonderman thriving in Detroit. Weaver pitched a huge game for the Cardinals not too long ago. And Kenny Rogers, how's he doing? He's doing fine.
You look at what this Tigers team has done as far as putting veterans in key positions. A guy like on the starting staff with Rogers and Jones as the closer, and Casey and Inge on the corners to help the younger players along. Jones was talking to me earlier about taking Joel Zumaya under his wing, and not so much on the mound because Zumaya can bring it. The guy's got a fantastic arm, but just teaching him the little intricacies of how to be a big league pitcher.
Granderson hits it hard. Jeter runs to the bag and fires. Sheffield dropped another one. The makeshift Yankees first baseman. That's the second one that's clanked out of his glove today.
Well, no fault of Jeter. He threw it right on the money. It would have hit Sheffield right in the belt buckle. Just handcuffed himself. Wasn't sure whether or not to have his fingers up or his fingers down to catch that ball. He got caught in between. He ended up not doing either one of them.
They say you're not supposed to assume a double play when you're making a scoring decision. I'd always heard that, but I mean, it's tough not to give an error right there to Gary Sheffield. The ball hit him right in the glove. And it is going to be an error to Gary Sheffield.
I guess they did assume the double play then.
Ball one to Polanco.
One of the other great stories on this Detroit team that we talked a little bit about, Marcus Thames is a former Yankee, was playing in AAA, and it was Leland's brother who said, bring him up here. He'll hit you 30 home runs if you give him 500 at-bats. Tim's mother, Betterine, had an accident when Tim's was 6 years old. She's been paralyzed from the neck down since he was 6 for about 25 years now. Tim says he gets all his inspiration from her, and he hopes one day that she'll be able to see a game in person. She's never seen him play a major league game. Home in Mississippi, watches every game. He says, I know she's fine because all she ever does is laugh.
Oh.
Well, your son's going to probably move on to the next round in the playoffs, and you're going to get to watch a few more ball games.
If it ends up being, in some way, a Tigers-Cardinals World Series, that's drivable. Getting her up from Mississippi to St. Louis.
He says the toughest part is the fact that she needs so much care, not mobile, and unable to attend. But he says someday he'll be able to do that for his mom.
Oh, guys like Thames, guys like Bonderman. There's a lot of stories on this Tiger team. Fellows that have overcome a lot. Jeremy Bonderman, who's battled dyslexia his entire life. Ball to center. And run down by Johnny Damon. We're talking about Jeremy Bonderman. Our Holiday Inn look again. Play of the game brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel for Major League Baseball. A series of plays and or pitches. Jeremy Bonderman, of his first 35 pitches of this game, Steve, 29 of them went for strikes.
That was one of the reasons why the Yankees couldn't be as patient a team and work the count as they usually do, because if the guy's just pounding the strike zone and throwing strike after strike and getting you in the hole, you can only be so patient. You better start hacking.
Sean Casey has hacked his way to a second consecutive 2-for-4 game. There was action earlier in that Tiger bullpen, but not now. Manageable pitch count, 92 for Bonderman. Bud Rodriguez caught a young pitcher by the name of Josh Beckett in the World Series. 120 pitches there. That worked out well. There's the final out of the bottom of the 8th. We're going to find out pretty soon if Kid Rock was right about the whole ain't no party about a Detroit party.
I love this, too. He's going to send Bonderman back out and let him win it himself.
Jim Schmeichel runs one of the best clubhouses in baseball. It will soon be one of the wettest clubhouses in baseball. They got the cellophane going up. The Tigers are ready to party.
Good thing to have a new stadium. The old clubhouse in Tiger Stadium was not the best in baseball, I can tell you that much.
Bobby Abreu will lead it off. Bonderman still on the mound. Steve Reich one more time.
I love this move, and it's very surprising. I thought Bonderman would be done after 8. Started to struggle with location just a little bit, but Leland wants his boy to go out there and get a complete game win.
Chip shot, base hit for Abreu. And the Tigers will get the bullpen going again. Sheffield coming up. Steve, we were talking about the comparisons between Bonderman and Josh Beckett. A couple of pretty self-assured guys. Beckett was 23 when he did that to the Yankees in the deciding game of the World Series. Bonderman is 23. Got a pretty good self-assured way about him tonight.
He's been through enough wars, even at 23 years old.
Yeah, it's not often you can say a guy who's 23 has 4 full seasons of Major League experience.
Look out.
Everybody picked the Yankees in this series. They got up 1-0. Lost a close game after the rainout in New York. Here in Detroit, all Tigers.
There's that slider all day long to Sheffield. Hard on his belt buckle, sliders away.
Sheffield to left. Diving catch! Craig Monroe locks it up.
All out. Snagged it right before it hit the ground. Bonderman's digging it. And look at what Craig Monroe thinks.
Jim Leland says that was great. He's going to let Bonderman leave the mound to this reaction. Almost a forgotten young gun on this strong-arm pitching staff. Jeremy Bonderman, our Chevrolet player of the game. So much attention heaped on Verlander and Zumaya. Today it was Bonderman, and in recognition of his outstanding efforts, Chevy making a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Chevy, an American revolution. "99 pitches. And he ended up with that. He was actually perfect through 5 innings, Steve. Robinson Cano busted up the perfect game bid. But right now the Tigers 2 outs away from moving on and dispatching the New York Yankees. Jamie Walker comes on. He will face Hideki Matsui.
56 games during the regular season. Very reliable left-hander out of the pen for Jim Leland all season long.
Ball is hit into the crowd. And think about this crowd, Steve. I mean, let's say you were 10 years old in 1984 when your Tigers got it done. And maybe now you have a son or a daughter 22 years later who is 10 years old. And now that child gets to enjoy what you enjoyed in 1984.
There they are right there.
Actually, I think I messed up the math on that, but you get my point.
Well, father, son, enjoying a next generation of Tiger greatness.
Runner goes from first. And no challenge. Abreu will coast into second base. Yeah, it's a tradition that these great fans wanted so badly to hand down to the next generation, but it's like the next generation wanted very little to do with it because it's been 13 straight seasons of losing baseball. Meantime, these Yankees, of whom it's been said it's like rooting for the house in blackjack. I mean, it's just a foregone conclusion. They're going to get it done. They're not getting it done. There was concern that we heard from Jim Leyland about how Bonderman would do against all these tough lefties today. Right now, 8-1.
I think Bonderman really showed his manager something today. I mean, this situation coming back here, first playoff games in 19 years. He got pushed back to the number 4 starter in the playoffs. Leyland said he was just a little bit worried that he wouldn't be able to calm down, that he'd be a little over-geeked. He just showed up and shut down one of the best offenses ever assembled.
I know under-geeked is not a word. I'm not even sure over-geeked is, but were the Yankees at all under something in this series?
You know, one of the things about the Yankees is they've been so good for so long, and you know the names, you know the power, you know the ability that they have. But when you get into a situation like this, there's no more a Paul O'Neill on this club who would stand up and get in the face of one of those veteran players that knows so much about success.
To center field. And now 2 down.
And I think Leyland might go to the pen and just bring his closer.
You know, Todd Jones would love to be out there to wrap it up. He has meant so much to this organization.
I think Leyland's thinking about it. He's pacing. He's on the steps.
Hey, if that's the toughest call he's got to make all day, though, he's had a pretty good day.
I mean, he certainly doesn't need him, but I think it's what you talked about. Put a guy on the hill that's meant a lot to this organization since he's got here. You're going to let Walker finish it up.
Posada hits it in the air, left center field, and hits it well. That will quiet the crowd. A 2-run shot. And now maybe Jim Leyland, with no thoughts, can just go right out there and say, yeah, get me Jonesy.
We talked to Leyland about that today as far as his pitching rotation and how he used his pitchers in last night's ball game. In a game that they were pretty sure they were going to win, he did use Zamaya and Jones, and he said, I'm not taking any chances.
You know what, though? I mean, it's still lefty-lefty here. It's still one out left to get.
Yep.
But if Cano gets on, hey, A-Rod's up.
If Cano gets on, you will see Jones, and this ball's just pummeled by Posada. Still one of the best hitters in that lineup. People forget about Jorge Posada, but he doesn't let you forget how good he is.
On the ground, second base. Listen to him roar. Tigers in 4. There is an art to being the scrappy underdog, apparently. The Detroit Tigers. What a series. What a performance. And this city, which has just been aching for a baseball winner for so long, they've got it.
Jim Leyland so emotional. First thing he did was go to his wife and get a kiss from her, Katie, and his daughter, Kelly, and then one of the exuberant Tiger fans tried to get a kiss from us as well. And then he went to go shake the hands of his players.
Let's go to Ken Rosenthal.
Brandon Inge, you've seen Jeremy Bonderman grow up as a pitcher. What was it like watching him today?
Oh, I've caught Jeremy, and that's by far one of the best games I've ever seen him throw. It was on every pitch. He sank the ball, doing a good slider. If you can keep this lineup right here off balance, which is saying a lot, he did an unbelievable job.
You were here for the 119 losses. Did you ever think this day would be possible?
You know what? I knew it would get here eventually. I just didn't think it would get here this soon. You know what? You got Jim Leyland as a manager, and he did an unbelievable job, and, you know, we're just happy this day's come.
You guys carried Leyland off the field. How much has he meant to your success?
Jim Leyland, he's actually, you know what, he's led us through the tough times that we've had this season. He's done so well for us, and you know what, we're just happy that he's led us the whole time, and we're glad to bring this to the Detroit right now.
All right, Brandon Inge, thank you very much. I believe we've got Jeremy Bonderman waiting. We'll get him 1 second, Josh.
All right, Kenny, thank you very much. 3 years ago, these guys lost 119 games. And as it was said at the time by Alan Trammell, no less, who managed that team, Steve, he said, we've managed to embarrass Al Kaline. We got to make sure that never happens again.
And we talked about that, too, when Dombrowski took over. He cleaned house. Just one remaining player, but the fact is there's 10 of those guys on that 119 loss team that are still here.
One of the guys that came in has meant a lot, Pudge Rodriguez. He's standing by with Ken.
Pudge, Jeremy Bonderman today, what made him so successful?
Well, I think he had the same recipe than Kenny last night. I mean, he kicked the ball down, he used the sinker very good, he located pretty good, and his slider was perfect all night tonight.
How surprised were you that the Yankees swung so early in the count, made so many quick outs?
Well, you know, the Yankees are very good, it's a very aggressive lineup. You know, it's not any witness, and what we got to do is just make them throw, you know, make them put the ball in play, and what we try to do is just throw strike early.
Yvonne, thank you very much. We've got Jeremy Bonderman right here. Jeremy, step in. Hey, what was it like for you today, Jeremy, walking off the mound at the ninth inning, this place going nuts?
Man, these guys were great for us, man. They're behind us 100%, and we just try to come out and play good baseball, and, you know, everything worked our way today, and, you know, we got to tip our hats to the Yankees, man. They're a great ball club, but, you know, it was just meant to be for us, I guess.
You pitched the game of your life today. How did you make it happen?
I don't know, man. I really didn't get nervous at all. I just tried to come out, put it all together, and have one great game, and help this team go on to the next round. But you know, guys made some great plays behind me, Simo and Brandon and everybody. Man, I can't even. This is the greatest team I've ever played on, and a great group of guys.
Jim Leyland said before the game that he was worried that you might be overhyped. He said he was worried about all the Yankees left-handed hitters. What was your approach coming in?
I didn't care, man. I just wanted to go out and attack him. I gave it everything I had for 9, as long as I could go. And, you know, I just wanted to leave everything I had on the field, and I think I did that today. But, you know, we got a lot of work ahead of us, so, you know, we're going to celebrate tonight, but we got a lot of work.
You had some difficult times here. The whole team had some difficult times here. What's it like now to have beaten the Yankees?
Oh, man, this is the greatest feeling in the world. I don't know, man. This is, you can't ask for nothing better than this. So, we're about to have a hell of a party. I know that.
All right, Josh, back to you.
Thank you, Ken. The whole team has come out now. They celebrated inside. A lot of them are coming back outside now. They want to share it with this city.
To me, Josh, this is what it's all about, especially for a team that has been down for a while. Look at the joy that these guys are feeling right now.
And if you're a fan of a team that has not gotten it done lately, take a look at this and gather some hope for 07 or 08. This is remarkable.
Bonderman didn't know he was going to throw his hat into the seats. There's not a fan in this stadium right now that doesn't want some of that champagne on them.
The corporate connect the dots that is the Yankees, many would say, is not what's on display here. The Tigers have given this city so much joy here in 2006. And not to get greedy, Steve, but these fans are ready for more. They've got the Oakland A's coming up, a redux of the 1972 LCS. That was a great series, too, and it began on this date in 1972. Fox will have it for you. Detroit against Oakland is your LCS in the American League.
Kind of got the feeling that Kenny Rogers has got someone's name on that bottle of champagne he's going to share with.
That's a guy who's been criticized for not being personable and not winning big ball games. How's he looking now?
And nothing could be further from the truth if you talk to the players on this team. His hustle, his desire to play, his work ethic has rubbed off on all the younger players on this team, not only the pitching staff, but some of the everyday players too. You don't want to spend the night in jail, Kenny.
They have restored more than the roar, Steve Lyons. They've restored faith here in Detroit, Michigan.
Josh, you know maybe better than anybody, being a broadcaster in this town through the tough times, how much sweeter the victory tastes now.
And to do it against the Yankees. We talked about, David and Goliath, that's the obvious comparison. We got a little pop culture at the beginning, said it was Average Joe's against Lobo Jim. This is how the movie Dodgeball ended, too. The Tigers have defeated the New York Yankees in the best of 5, 3-1. Much more to talk about, and of course, getting you ready for the big game between the Mets and the Dodgers as well. Our coverage will continue after a commercial break. Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy standing by. In the Fox Network Center, the Tigers have defeated the Yankees. Once again, your final here in Game 4, 8-3, Detroit.
Hey, Detroit, you got 3 days to recover. There's still more baseball to be played. I guess this is what happens when there's a generation of barren baseball seasons and finally some success. Just can't contain it, gentlemen. Jimmy Rollins, Kevin Kennedy joining me here in studio at the Fox Network Center. Huge afternoon in Detroit.
I tell you, 19 years since they've been to the postseason, and I managed against some of those terrible teams in the mid-'90s, and this is a culmination of all that. Losing records year after year after year. They bring Jimmy Leland in. I think he changed the mindset back on April 17th after they lost a game against the Cleveland Indians, and ironically, it was against Oakland that they were going to play the following day, and he said to his ball club, and he put himself in the same boat. He said, it's all of us. We weren't prepared to play today. Myself, the coaches, me, everybody else. That's unacceptable. It's not going to happen here, and it didn't for the Oakland A's.
Jimmy,
for the
I know
Detroit
you're
Tigers.
watching this video, and you're thinking, I'd just like to be here. I'm not even going to critique the celebration, because, man, I'd just like to be a part of it. But honestly, trying to stay focused, trying to keep in mind, you know, you got your pitcher carrying your manager, and you're worrying about arms and legs and other body parts. If you put yourself in this situation, how do you reel it in? How do you stay focused?
Well, you know you have a couple of days to recover, and that's also a big thing. But you have to go out there, you know, celebrate tonight, keep it, you know, within respects of what just happened, and realize that it's not over.
Jimmy, you know, being a player that came so close, and I thought that tough series that you guys had at the end, that game, it would start at 11:30 at night in D.C., I think that really hurt you guys at the end, because a lot of us felt that you were going to be the wild card team. Now, how important to have that bottle of champagne like these guys. I know it has to hurt you a little bit.
Oh, it definitely hurts. You know, it's definitely a place I wish I would have been, but unfortunately, I'm sitting here with you guys and get to watch everybody else celebrate.
Well, we're happy.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Oh, by the way, the Yankees have been eliminated. I know there's a lot of jaws dropping, especially collectively in the Big Apple right now. And if you're not believing it, we do have the proof. Here are the pictures. The game you just saw on Fox.
Giambi sits. That's what he showed that.
Lineup the Yankees have it. Jason Giambi not a part of it.
Ordonez gets it going right away. Bad location. Jimmy and I talked about this in the pregame show. If Wright does not have location, Jimmy, he's not going to get it done. That was another home run hanging slider right there.
Yeah, and, you know, when you make mistakes, the strong hitters, you know, not only good hitters, but strong hitters, they find a way to put the ball over the fence, and that's what happened.
And then Bonderman had his command, a slider going away. To make the Yankees, one of the things that they did, they expanded the zone. But this got to pump you up, too. Craig Monroe.
Definitely. That was a big play. You know, Posada hit a home run a little later in the game, but if he doesn't make that play, maybe things end up a little different.
Yankees really, I think, started a little bit too late. I mean, obviously, you get 3 runs on the board there, but not being able to come back after being down 3-0 and then 4-0 and putting some at-bats together for the Yankees, I think that really affected them, Jeannie. I mean, they had 15 consecutive outs, actually 24 in a row, going back to last night. It's the pitching of the Tigers, and you said it in the pregame show. It's more about pitching than it is about...
We keep talking about how many runners that were left stranded by the Yankees, but let's not forget to credit the Detroit pitching, and let's not forget to credit the man who is behind all of this revamping. Ken Rosenthal caught up with the manager.
Thanks, Jeannie. We're here with Jim Leyland. Jim, you were nervous about Jeremy Bonderman before the game, all the left-handed hitters. And yet, here he was pitching the game of his life.
Well, I think we caught some real breaks in this series. You know, we had some shadows in our favor.
Want to try again?
Well, you know, I think, you know, we really played well against a great team. And most importantly, I think we also caught some breaks. You know, we caught the shadows at the right time. The shadows were great for Bonderman today. So, you know, I don't want to take anything away from our club, obviously, because we did great. But we caught a few breaks. We fisted a couple balls. They fell in. They hit a couple, of, you know, that were hit at somebody. Monroe made a great play. So it was just one of those series where you don't ever believe this when it starts, but it was supposed to be ours for some reason.
You still think you're the underdogs?
Well, I think, I don't know. You know, it doesn't make much difference. You know, you don't worry about that now. You just go out and now you got a 7-game series or possibly a 7-game series. And Oakland's been one of the hottest teams in baseball. They swept a great Minnesota team that came back and snuck the division from us. And I think the number one thing that I'm proud of is I think that we gave our fans what they missed out on last weekend. I know we broke their heart last weekend, and I'm so happy that we could give them this.
Jim, what was it like for you getting carried off the field? I guess it was all worthwhile coming back into the game.
Well, you know, that's spontaneous stuff is the best stuff. It's like a party, you know. You don't plan on having a party, and all of a sudden some people get together and it ends up being a hell of a party, and it seems like if you plan one for 2 months, it doesn't go as well. So that's a thrill for me. It's happened to me one other time, and, you know, I'm appreciative.
When you took the job, did you ever think it would be like this?
No, not this year. I thought that we'd get better. I thought that we'd be competitive, but I thought it was going to take for sure a year till we looked at all the pieces and all the parts and see what we had to change, if we had to change anything, exactly what we had. And you know, this came a little quicker than I thought it would, to be honest with you, and that's the way it happened in Florida, kind of.
What about after Game 1 against this team? You had been swept by the Royals. You lose Game 1. They score a ton of runs. What were you thinking at that time?
Well, you know, I just told the guys each day is a whole new chapter. It's a whole new season when you get in postseason. You know, it's not like a weekend series during the regular season. It's a whole new season when you play in postseason. So if you win the next game, you keep playing. You play tomorrow. And I kept emphasizing that. And today before the game, I had a talk with him, and I really emphasized. I said, look, don't think about a celebration. Don't think about the fans. Don't think about being 2-1 or 1-2 or 0-2 or 2-0. Don't think about, well, if we lose, we got to go back to New York. Don't think, well, if we win, we stay home. Just go out and concentrate on right today, and that's the most important thing.
Tuesday night, game 1 against Oakland. Who's pitching for the Detroit Tigers?
I think Robertson, but I haven't checked with McClendon, Lamont. You know, I got 3 managers on this team. They all run the team, you know. They told me all year long they won 95 and I lost 67, so I'll have to check with his staff.
All right, Jim Leyland, congratulations. Thank you very much. Jeannie, back to you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. That is unacceptable because we have to put something down.
That was
so
great.
Should we tell the skipper that we're being told it's going to be Robertson?
The skipper, we already know before the skipper. What's up with that?
I think at this point he'll take our help. It doesn't mean he'll listen to us.
It's
But
almost
Tuesday night on Fox, the ALCS unfolds.
Jeannie, it's almost like if it works, don't fix it. Go with Robertson on the road. Save Kenny Rogers for Game 3. Start with Robertson. Go with Verlander. And I imagine that's the way they're going to go. But Jimmy was talking, you know, well, Jimmy Leyland he was looking at Jimmy Leyland. You've had some thoughts on the celebration and all that and the mindset that Jimmy Leyland put these guys in.
Definitely. Well, you can look back when he jumped on them, the series back in April. The team responded. Yeah. And this was another situation where he challenged his team. He said he was, you know, nervous about Bonderman coming in against the Yankees left-handed bats. But what that did was pull the team together and not just the pitcher, but, you know, we're going to support you. Do enough to keep us in the game, and we'll find a way to win. And that's exactly what happened.
They certainly did. They took care of the Yankees today. I don't think we can say this enough. 3 years ago, they lost 119 games. The 2006 Detroit Tigers have advanced to the ALCS. They will take on the Oakland A's Tuesday night on Fox. We got more work to do here today, though. They're getting ready at Dodger Stadium. We will get you ready as well right after this.